Columbia School Board will be discussing the district's mask requirement at tonight's meeting. Tonight's meeting will start at 6:30. The board will vote tonight on a proposal to extend CPS's coronavirus plan that includes a mask requirement. Columbia Public Schools continues to reduce the number of trailers in the district. CPS had 173 trailers in 2007. They'll have less than 21 next year. CPS is crediting voters for approving 6 bond issues in the past 11 years. District says Columbia's community understands the importance of maintaining a high-quality educational program. In most federal Missouri and county offices are closed today. They're observing Christopher Columbus Day. It is a federal, state, and county holiday. Emergency services such as the Missouri State Highway Patrol are still open. Banks and financial institutions are closed today. There will be no regular mail delivery. Regular mail delivery will resume tomorrow morning. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports at 6:07, 93.9 The Eagle. The Mizzou Tigers beating North Texas Saturday at Faurot Field, Columbia, 48-35. Mizzou now 3-3 on the year. Tyler Beatty, 2 touchdowns, 209 yards rushing. Eli Drinkwitz and Mizzou welcoming Texas A&M, the Fighting Aggies, out of College Station, Texas, coming to Columbia Saturday morning. Aggies upset number 1 Alabama Saturday night in College Station, 41-38. NFL, the Bills beating Kansas City last night, Arrowhead Stadium, 38-20. Big highlight as well, the game delayed more than 1 hour because of lightning in the area. The Chiefs now 2-3, last place in the AFC West. 93.9 The Eagle Sports, brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. .66 degrees, our current temperature.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And I should mention as well, our weather there was brought to you by Club Car Wash. Get all the details at clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. Traffic check right now with midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Things quiet right now on the roads here in Columbia, mid-Missouri. Not seeing or hearing any traffic issues. Again, a reminder, it is a federal and state holiday. Not as many people will be on the roads today. However, give yourself extra time because we are expecting heavy rain throughout the day. But traffic certainly much lighter today. Expect that because of the federal and state holiday, county holiday as well. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390, and more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
And it was a really hectic scene out here. I heard 3 loud bangs that I immediately identified as gunshots, then looked around to see a bunch of people around here taking cover, some running away, others ducking behind cars to avoid the bullets that were being fired. It was then that I looked and saw the victim here laying behind me at Booch's, and a good Samaritan actually came over, immediately taking his shirt off and applying pressure to that victim's wound. But
police arrived to the scene on 9th to 10th Street last night and found 2 victims in the shooting.
That's audio from ABC 17. I want to give kudos to Ben Fine. He is the street reporter there. As a matter of fact, I sent him an email message this morning. I said, man, that was a good descriptive setup of what happened in downtown Columbia over the weekend, and it wasn't slanted or anything like that. It was just a good description, I thought.
It was, and you and I think a lot, Brandon. We talked this morning, and I had sent him a note yesterday saying the same thing. They are our news partner, and just told him how outstanding it was. I mean, he gave a great description there. That is just quality street reporting. And generally, his shift has an unusual shift. A lot of times he's working the streets in the middle of the night, and he's been on scene at least near the area for a number of these incidents. And in this particular one on Saturday, the person that was shot was literally shot right behind Ben and was shot near Booches. In that description there about this suspect dressed in all black clothing and people, he said basically very hectic, flashlights, 15 police officers. That's the kind of reporting you can only really get by being there because the police don't usually release that much information.
And you weren't downtown 2 o'clock in the morning.
No, I was
Sunday
morning.
And that's when it was. It was 2 o'clock, and then there was another shooting sometime later. But at 2 o'clock, there would have been a lot of people downtown.
Yeah, the first one was closer to 12:20. The first one, 12:20, but the second one was at 5 a.m. But based on what Ben said, Stephanie and Brandon, in his reporting, the streets were packed for the first one. Not nearly as much for the second one, but just people everywhere, and a lot of people would have been in the area.
And this was, because we've talked before, some of these other shootings, they're technically downtown area. But when I think of downtown, I think Broadway, maybe a block or two to the south and to the north. Is that what you think of downtown? As somebody who's down there all the time?
I think of University Avenue.
Yeah. So some of these other shootings have been kind of in an area I would not call downtown. And I think that's important when we talk about the context of what's been going on. I mean, when people get shot, it's bad news wherever it happens. But I just want to keep that in context because it becomes a big thing. Oh, my God, shootings in downtown Columbia. I'm not going down there anymore.
Yeah, and your point's well taken on that. It's still technically the way the city describes it as downtown still there. But no, I understand where you're coming from. The other thing is, if you think about it, Brandon, how brazen, and Stephanie, how brazen this is to be doing this in front of so many people around, and the police station is just literally a couple of blocks away. That is really, that's troubling.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been right in the area that when I was in law school and I was celebrating homecoming, that I would have been crisscrossing, different establishments in downtown. I mean, it would have been right where I would have expected to be. I mean, it's sad for those businesses downtown who are already suffering from the actions of the government during the pandemic, and now you've got this too to deal with. And I think a lot of people I think are going to be hesitant, right? And that's unfortunate.
Points for Stephanie already this morning. I'm going to nominate you for one of our winners of the week coming up on a Feel Good Friday at 8:35. Number one, because you're back. God, thank you.
Good to have you back.
You can't ever leave like that again. Bad things happen when you're gone. And then points for mentioning it wasn't COVID that crushed those businesses. It was the action of local government. By the way, breaking news this morning, manufacturers of this drug, and I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's I think, incidentally, this drug, it's supposed to be able to combat symptoms of COVID. It's made by the whole horse thing, the equine medicine that people have been debating for a long time. Incidentally, the makers of this drug are the same people who make the equine medication. Asking the FDA for emergency approval this morning.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. We covered that in the Morning Bell, that it was coming out and that it could really decrease symptoms. And in my mind, it's very interesting because if you were vaccine hesitant and you eventually got forced to get it, and now you're finding out, hey, I could just pop a pill and be okay through COVID, and I never did need to get the vaccine. I mean, I wonder, next time we have Dr. Tobler on, I want to get his take on the vaccine versus the pill. There was also an interesting opinion article in the Journal this weekend that said the process by which the drug came to be was significantly slowed down, and for interesting reasons, which I think we should get into later, that maybe this could have come to market even sooner.
8:25.
Politics got involved. So.
I think I already know where it's going. We'll find out. Morning Bell coming up 8:25 with Stephanie Bell. Meanwhile, masks coming back in the news again. I'm every time, on the rare occasion that we do talk about this, I'm so over all this stuff. Wear a mask if you want. Don't wear a mask if you don't want to. If you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. If you would like to exercise your freedom of choice, I am behind you 100%. Mizzou faculty held a meeting last week. They're talking about making masks, doing a mask mandate like in every single building on campus, and Hannah is thrilled.
I mean, that's pretty much what it already is.
From the meeting last week, and I love this because people, at least when they're lying to us, they're getting more honest. You know, we had Joe Biden telling us last week that not only is this infrastructure package that has a little bit of stuff regarding infrastructure, not only did he tell us that the cost is zero, last week it's a tax cut. Let's go, Branden. Jeez. And then we heard some lawmakers lying about, well, it doesn't cost anything. Now, to an extent, when some of these officials are lying to us, they're kind of being honest about it. This is from the MU Faculty Council meeting.
If we're not going to require masks, at the very least, and this is a lot of work on our staff now, at the very least, then we ought to go back to the 6 feet of social distancing. Not that that would make a huge difference, but right now we have people crammed into, for example, Naka Hall. We have people crammed 30 students into a tiny little room, and I'm not sure, you're right, if cloth masks are doing a whole lot of good, but whatever good.
I'm not sure if the masks do any good, but whatever. Let's have a mask mandate. Rashida Tlaib. I don't know if the audio is the best here, but there's a gathering. Some important dude was coming and visiting and talking, and some of the people are wearing masks. She is, because I'm guessing, because cameras are around there. We've seen it with Pelosi. We've seen it several times with John Kerry. We're seeing it with Schumer. All these people, they want you. They demand that you wear a mask, but then
They don't have to wear a mask.
So check this out. Rashida Tlaib, this guy, and I don't know who the guy is, but he's coming up. He's not wearing a mask. Everybody's wearing masks. And I think is what you will hear here is that he's asking, should I wear a mask? And basically she says, oh, no, we're only doing it because cameras are nearby.
I thought you were like, the one unmasked guy.
Because I got a Republican cracker for you.
Well, thank you for...
I got a Republican monitor watching with cameras. She admits they're being honest about their lying.
Yeah, as long as the cameras are on, I got this tracker who's filming me, I got to wear the mask. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wearing it.
Remarkable. Brian Hauswirth is here. How you doing, bud?
I'm hanging in there. Been a busy weekend with a lot of news, no doubt.
And it's going to be a busy night tonight, especially in Centralia, Hannah. Kind of a big meeting taking place there. Something folks been talking about for several weeks.
Yeah, there's a much anticipated city council meeting. And Brian, did we ever confirm if the police department situation was going to be on the meeting notes?
Again, unfortunately, Hannah, the city administrator has not returned any of our phone calls and has been very limited in what she said to the TV. So based on Cam IZ's reporting, it will, whether it's on the agenda specifically or not, it will come up certainly with public comment. But she's being very tight-lipped other than telling Cam IZ and another 3 officers left last week. So, yeah, it'll come up tonight. I'm just a little unclear if it's on the agenda or public comment. But either way, it will be discussed.
I'm anticipating there will be lots of people there.
Hannah, I like, she's so polite. They're going to be talking about the police. My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you this morning, 874-9390, 874-9390. I think it's just, and remarkable is not the right word, but we have these people like from this MU faculty board meeting and Rashida Tlaib. They're being honest about lying to you. It's crazy. Coming up 6:25, we're going to be doing the daily DC rundown. Stephanie Bell returns with our rundown today. Thank gosh you're back, man. What do you have for us today?
Well, we know when the Democrats, they can't win on issues, they resort to cancel culture. Who are they trying to cancel and why?
That's coming up 6:20.
Welcome, you Eagle maniac. It's Wake Up Columbia on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
The Justice Department says for nearly a year, Jonathan and Diana Toevi sold restricted data about nuclear-powered warships to a person they believed was representing a foreign power.
That gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle. What's happening here?
Well, I guess he was arrested, as was his wife, after they dropped a memory card in kind of a drop box at an agreed-upon location. I guess it dates back to April 2020, and he had tried to mail some sort of package with a note to a foreign entity, and it was intercepted by the FBI. And then that basically gave way to this undercover operation that's been going on for a while. They posed as a foreign entity, got him to agree to do this drop. And then at that point, he and his wife were both arrested.
Surprise. It's like one of those times you expect Chris Hansen from MSNBC to walk. Why are you selling secrets to a foreign entity?
Yeah, I guess he had given them, he had been paid about $10,000 in cryptocurrency, and in exchange was going to try to, give up all of our secrets. So he has been arrested. Also, the Democrats are back on their cancel culture thing. They've kind of been off of that for a while. I don't know why, but anyway, it's back on. So, and now it's about the Texas abortion law. And so because they lost in Texas and the law passed, and then, initially the court knocked it down or put a stay on it, but then it went up to a higher court. Now it's back. They're mad and they don't know what to do. And they're worried about what's going to happen to the Supreme Court. So now the Corporate Accountability Action Group is running television and digital ads, and they're finding out who donated to Texas Republicans, and they're targeting them and saying, "Hey, look, these people." And so one of the entities that's being targeted is AT&T, and so the one lady from Planned Parenthood, Cecile Richards, said, "This is a moment in our country where there is no middle ground," and I kind of agree with her. You either believe in the sanctity of life or you don't, right? And and they're saying, hey, if we can't get our abortions and we can't win, in the polls to get the right people elected in Texas to get the policy we want, and we can't win in the courts and force them to do what we want, we're going to start canceling people who give to Republicans.
Now, there's a bunch of, kind of on a separate note, but related, Senator from Arizona, Sinema. She's going to be in a marathon, and there's a plan to bird dog her, which is apparently some kind of phrase for you go when somebody's running, you just
chase them into a bathroom?
Yeah, you just annoy them the entire time. And that's your Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle. There has been a lot going on in DC. Did we miss anything important we might want to know about before we head into work?
Well, the national news is just kind of picking up on local school board elections, saying with all of the stuff that's going on, you've got parents really angry at meetings. You've got, local elected officials getting a lot of pressure, and just saying as we kind of roll into April, which is when a lot of these elections are occurring, all eyes are going to be on these races. And I know, just from my own experience, they're not always super contested, right? There's a lot of times where you're just, it's the same person and there might be one challenger, but typically there aren't. And they're saying these are really, I think of that, they said they emerge as hot races. I think, did you ever play NBA Jam where they go, they're heating up? You need that. That's kind of the feel that I get. And they're basically saying, yeah, there's going to be parents who stand up and say, I'm sick of what's going on here and I'm going to run. And these races are going to be hotly contested. And especially with, what the news that we got about DOJ. I know you talked to Senator Rowden about that last week. These are going to be really contentious. And I think that's good, right? I think we need to fight it out at the polls on what the best policy for our schools are. And I think if more parents stand up and run, I think we will be better off.
The more localer, the more importanter, for real. Coming up, did you hear any of what happened over the weekend at the southern border? Horrifying moments from there. Fox will have that story. Brian Hauswirth is here. Updates on this weekend's downtown shooting victims. He has those stories for you at 6:31. And then cancel culture strikes Southwest Airlines, but not in the way that we think of cancel culture. We'll get into that coming up at 6:35. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast. Heavy rain today. Could see some thunderstorms too. Our high right about 68. Some clouds overnight, 51. Sunshine tomorrow, high 77. Then maybe some rain Wednesday, high close to 80. It's 66. Stop by Club Car Wash. Get an unlimited membership, $20 a month. More details at clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The drug company Merck has asked for federal approval of its antiviral pill to treat COVID-19 infections. It needs clearance by the Food and Drug Administration. Chief White House Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says about the pandemic and Halloween coming up, maybe just be a little more careful.
You're outdoors for the most part, at least when my children were out there doing trick-or-treating, and enjoy it.
Dr. Fauci on CNN State of the Union. It's a holiday, Columbus Day on the federal calendar, Indigenous Peoples Day in more and more cities and states, and President Biden's the first to officially recognize both.
President Biden last week signed a proclamation declaring October 11th, 2021 Indigenous Peoples Day, writing that the promise of equality and opportunity for all people is a promise we have never fully lived up to, and that is especially true when it comes to upholding the rights and dignity of Indigenous people.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Most government offices, the Postal Service, and most banks are closed today. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 6:31. Robinson saves you time. 66 is our current temperature. We're expecting rain today. Some of that could be heavy. Thunderstorms are possible. Not expecting anything severe right now, but certainly be prepared for the rain. High of 68. Tonight, cloudy, then gradual clearing, low 51. Tomorrow, sunny, and a high of 77 degrees. Good morning, everyone. The Centralia Board of Aldermen is set to appoint an interim police chief at tonight's meeting. 3 more officers resigned recently after the chief, Bob Bias, resigned effective yesterday. The board is also set to vote tonight based on a new agenda to appoint a special legal counsel to the city. It's Cunningham, Vogel, and Roast. They're based out of Jefferson City. Mayor Chris Cox tells ABC 17 News. In the meantime, the city has contacted the Boone County Sheriff's Department to assist Centralia Police. Sheriff's deputies will assist the city in terms of policing. Tonight's meeting will start at 5:30. That will be at City Hall in Centralia, 114 South Rollins Street in Centralia. Again, we should point out we have reached out several times to the Centralia City Administrator about these issues with the police department, and none of our phone calls, at this point at least, have been returned. Detectives say the 2 people shot in downtown Columbia early Sunday morning are in stable condition at a local hospital. Reporter Ben Fine from our partner ABC 17 News was on scene when the shooting happened at about 12:20 a.m. Sunday.
I heard 3 loud bangs that I immediately identified as gunshots, then looked around to see a bunch of people around here taking cover, some running away, others ducking behind cars to avoid the bullets that were being fired. It was then that I looked and saw the victim here laying behind me at Booch's, and a good Samaritan actually came over, immediately taking his shirt off and applying pressure to that victim's wound.
Again, that's ABC 17's Ben Fine reporting from outside of Booch's where the victim had been shot. Now, that victim was taken away on a stretcher. He also saw a woman taken away on a stretcher as well, and he saw 15 CPD officers using flashlights yesterday morning. They were searching for shell casings in the area. The suspect described as a male wearing all black clothing. Anyone with information is urged to call Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. Meantime, detectives also investigating a second shots fired incident. This one also happened early Sunday morning in downtown Columbia. ABC 17's Ben Fine reports 10 shots were fired near Walnut in 5th Street. That one happened about 5 o'clock in the morning. No injuries reported in that incident. Columbia voters will head to the polls in November to cast ballots on a 1/8 cent park sales tax extension. Tax first approved by voters in 2000. Columbia Parks Director Mike Griggs tells 93.9 The Eagle CEO Roundtable that a developer wanted to drain Stevens Lake in 2000 and build apartments at that location near Broadway and Old Highway 63.
Basically, it passed then, and it was a really close vote, in 2000. Yeah. And then we've renewed it in 2005. 10 and 15, with it growing, in 15 we had over 70% renewing it.
The park sales tax is the main funding source for Columbia's parks and recreation capital improvements. If the tax is improved, park officials plan major renovations at numerous parks. Columbia School Board set to vote tonight a measure to extend CPS's coronavirus plan. That includes a mask requirement. Dr. Yearwood will be addressing the board tonight. CPS requires students and staff to wear masks indoors and on buses. They cite the high community transmission of the Delta variant. Missouri's Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against CPS He says Missouri law does not authorize them to impose the mask mandate. Tonight's meeting, 6:30. CPS also says they continue to reduce the number of trailers in the district. The district had 173 trailers in 2007. CPS will have 21 next year. The CPS district crediting voters for approving 6 bond issues in the past 11 years. And a reminder, today is Columbus Day. It's a federal Missouri and county holiday celebrating the anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas in 1492. Most state and county offices closed today. The exception, emergency services such as the Missouri State Highway Patrol, county sheriff's departments as well. 93.9 The Eagle News Time brought to you by MidAmericaMortgage.us. Apply now for a loan on your dream home. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:36. In sports, the Bills beat Kansas City Sunday night, Arrowhead Stadium, 38-20. The Chiefs now 2-3 on the year. They turned the ball over 4 times. Mizzou beat North Texas Saturday, Faurot Field, Columbia, 48-35. Mizzou now 3-3 on the year. They'll have Texas A&M, the Aggies, coming up from College Station Saturday morning. A&M beating number 1 Alabama Saturday night, 41-38. Seth Small kicking a field goal at the end of regulation time, and it was a wild night in Aggieville as the fans rushed the field after the game. 93.9 The Eagle Sports also brought to you by Mid-America Mortgage. Our news time, 6:36.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. The roads right now fairly quiet. A reminder again, today is a federal and state holiday that always impacts traffic. Much fewer cars on the road. So you'll see less traffic today, certainly during the morning and afternoon drives, maybe not as much during the day. But be prepared for that. Still give yourself extra time. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, the 93.9 The Eagle.
What Facebook has done is disgraceful, and you better believe Congress will be taking action. My question is, I have 2,000 friends on Facebook. Is that good? Is it good? Like, is that a lot? 2,000 sounds like a lot. How many does Drake have, 4,000?
I think he has like 50 million.
Oh, my God. No wonder he never answered my poke.
Stereotyping old people on Facebook. That's from Saturday Night Live over the weekend. One of the things while Stephanie was busy in Las Vegas. A lot going on with in D.C. Facebook was out for a while, so Mark Zuckerberg goes to the Capitol and talks about some ideas. One of them saying there should be a minimum age to get on the internet. You have kids. Is that something? First of all, can you even regulate? I mean, you know, you can get on some of those sites and it says you must be 18 or older. Are you? Yes. Click.
Click.
Yeah.
Or you just take mom and dad's iPad and you get on. I mean, I think, you know, there's a fine line, I think, between, you know, asking people to be responsible and then, you know, looking at what China just did and said you can only play an hour of video games a day on only on the weekends, right? And so where is that? Where do you start drawing the line? And I think, you know, my kids are on Facebook Messenger, the older ones. They use that. They're 10 and 7, and they talk to their school friends. But I can see all of their activity. And so I think even when you're a parent and you try to put these regulations in place, funny story. So I knew Drew was smart as a child, right? And I thought, but I didn't know he was as mischievous as he was.
He's your oldest? Or
oldest. Middle? He's 10 now. And I think he was about 5 at the time, and they had Amazon tablets. And I had done all the parental controls, took me like all day to get these things set up. And one day I felt like he had been on it for too long. And I said, why are you still on the tablet? Your hour should be up. And he said, oh, well, I just switched to Amelia, his sister's profile, and I'm using her hour. And I thought, okay, we're done for the day. But I think ultimately, as you can try to regulate, you can try to set the parental controls, but ultimately as parents, you have to have an eye on what your kids are doing online, and it's up to us to make sure that they're being safe. And I think okay, so I guess like TikTok has a minimum age. They all have minimum ages, but I know parents who let their kids watch TikTok. Again, my kids, I mean, one of our rules kind of is that don't watch YouTube, right? Because there's no filters on there. I don't understand how to filter it, I guess. And so they're allowed to watch like Disney and Netflix Kids, but YouTube, there is some weird stuff on there. I don't know if you've ever been on there.
Like they let Wake Up Columbia.
Weird stuff on there. And so, I think, if we don't have Facebook Messenger, if we, kick kids off Facebook, they're going to go to TikTok or they're going to go to YouTube or wherever else. And ultimately, as parents, it's our responsibility to kind of be paying attention, to what's going on.
And that's the thing I don't like when I say, well, you need to tell your kids this. And I get it. Hey, great suggestions, but I'll handle that myself. When I was a kid, maybe in your day too, Stephanie, I remember a lot of parents, they had, well, whenever you become a certain age, then you can date or you can do whatever. And I wonder, is that like a household rule for some parents? Like, well, our limit is 5. Minimum age is 5 or it's 7 or 8. Do you have that in mind, or do you just go, well, whenever this kid, Drew or Amelia, whoever it is, whenever we feel that they're mature enough to handle social media, we'll make that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would abide by the terms and service of whenever, they need to sign up. We haven't had that conversation yet. Also, and I think as a parent of one, I was very strict, and I was like, Drew, he's not going to watch too much TV and blah, blah, blah. And by the time I got to number 3, I was like, here's your iPad. We have stuff to do today. Which, I mean, you have to, and my mom, both of my parents worked growing up, and she regularly reminds me, y'all watched a lot of TV and you turned out okay. So, I think everyone's doing the best they can. And I think whether it be social media or what's happening in school or what they see on TV, you have to, you want to keep an eye on them.
It's a parent thing first. Oh, we're going to do this. I'm going to wash everything 3 times. And then by the time you get to the third, that's child's play.
Right.
Welcome into the show. Wake Up Columbia. It's Stephanie Bell. Brian Hauswirth is here. What's up with the Chiefs, man?
I'll tell you, the game last night, I was doing some work but had the game on. That lightning delay was kind of scary, and of course we had a little bit of lightning here in the Columbia area overnight. I woke up a couple of times, but that was the AP is saying more than an hour. Maybe it just seemed longer than that. And they had to actually they played so many highlights last night as they were just filling time basically, and then had to basically tell everybody to go in the concourse. In terms of their play, just Mahomes, and I watched him quite a bit at Texas Tech, obviously. He just did not look good last night. Never was on, and I'm not blaming him. Maybe the ball was slippery, but and the other thing that they showed repeatedly, Branden and Stephanie, is that Tyreek Hill, they actually put a safety about 30 yards down the field. So essentially he was double covered. He had nowhere to go. I've never seen anybody do that to him. And if he caught a few passes, maybe it was out, 10 yards down. He didn't do much. It was a pretty interesting game plan.
Trying to think last time we were under 500, 5 games into the season. I say we. I've been a lifelong Chiefs fan for 6 years now. But that's a bummer between their defense and Mizzou's defense. Playing, and we still let up 35 points over the weekend. I know it's progress. It's not perfection. But, man, even Mizzou's still having a tough time defensively.
Well, in giving up that kind of yardage to North Texas, which has struggled offensively in Conference USA, and give up 35 to them, they did improve to 3-3, and I'm glad they won. The tough news for Mizzou is you've got A&M coming in, the Aggies, who just took down number 1 Alabama Saturday in College Station and put up 41 points against Alabama, which has a number of NFL first-round draft picks on it. So Aggies are really good. The atmosphere there was loud, and I'm sure if people want to see a great football game, hopefully Mizzou will play a great game, but it's going to be tough Saturday, no doubt.
We're going to be doing our Tiger Tailgate again. Details on our website, 939theeagle.com, where you can go and get passes, give you free food, free drink. It's all free, and it's a really, really good time, so hopefully you'll join us. There's Hannah, the producer. Highlight of your weekend.
I got to sleep in until noon yesterday. You know the last time that happened? Because I don't. It's been a very long time. It was great.
Glad you got to do that. If there's something we can do for you this morning, 874-9390. Merck is asking for an emergency approval from the FDA regarding this medicine that you can apparently take that if you get the COVID, it helps with symptoms. Fox will have more on this coming up at 7 o'clock. A little bit later this morning, Car Santa is going to be joining us, where we try to honor a hero with some transportation. And just so you know, we're not giving away new cars or anything. It's somebody that's helped, whether they've been on the front lines, firefighters. We saw at the Capitol over the past week, Governor Mike Parson in the city of Jefferson City, the capital of Missouri, celebrating people who are firefighters. So coming up this week, we've got some things happening here. Brian Hauswirth is going to have more on that coming up at 7:03 on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. So check this out. This happened on TV yesterday. Well,
wow, cool.
Pretty impressive.
Was that one of those "Let's Go Branden" chants that you can't play any of it?
Let's go, Branden. Homecoming parade. Stephanie and I want to thank you for coming by and saying hi. Did you see without prompt there were several floats or several entries that mentioned "Let's Go, Branden"?
There were.
I thought that was great. So this happened.
Whoa.
So that's CNBC. This reporter goes, whoa, live.
Remember, didn't Jen Psaki do that? It was a bug or something, wasn't it? When she was like, whoa.
What was that? So what's this guy live on air going, whoa, about? We'll have that coming up at 6:51. And your dolment of the day, pucker up, butter. Missouri Better Business Bureau. Oftentimes when we talk about the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau, we talk about the business profiles. And it's just one of the ways they help you. Think about this. Like right now, if you're to get onto their website, bbb.org, they have profiles on daycare centers. Yeah, daycare centers for your kids. So it's kind of a guide. That's one of the big things that the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau is really helpful about. There might be some things, I hadn't thought of that. I've never had to hire a daycare for my kids. What kind of questions should I be asking? What should I be looking for? You can learn more about daycares, choosing the right daycare for you. You can learn more about daycares and other businesses, and it's all free on the website. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do a password or a username, anything like that. It's all free. It's on the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau's website, bbb.org.
Be heard. 874-9390.
Anytime you have Facebook and everything else that goes on out there in media, there's an opportunity for us to have misconceptions and misinformation or partial information that people think they know and they get traumatized. So the bottom line is that's all I'll say. That's out there.
That's Centralia Mayor Chris Cox talking to our news partners at ABC 17. This ahead of tonight's City Council meeting where hopefully somebody's going to know something about what's been happening with the police department there. You know, Centralia's small town, small police department with some very passionate people in law enforcement and a lot of the citizens. And I guess there's a balance there somewhere. City's saying to an extent, hey, personnel issues, we can't say a whole lot. And the residents like, geez, please tell us something. Communication. It's the key to almost any relationship, communication.
Yeah, the most, and I don't know the situation. I was not on the Board of Aldermen when Ashland had an issue with the police chief, but obviously it made big local news. But I do remember being interested enough to tune into the meeting, and it was, at the time, they were streaming it live. And I remember tuning in and seeing there were like 450 people on the Facebook Live just paying attention. And people are really, especially now in Centralia where you don't have enough police to even cover your city. It's nerve-wracking, and you talk about local elections being so important, but these are your police officers when you live in a city that small are people the police chief are people and it affects your day-to-day life in your community. And so I think there's going to be a lot of people with all eyes on Centralia, not only tonight but going forward.
Meetings tonight at 6 o'clock. If you're a resident of Centralia, it might be worth going to. And people talking about still want to defund the police. Kansas City, while you were gone, I know we were trying to get a guest. He's been on the show before. His name is Richard Lawrence. He's a UFO. What, you laughing?
I just remember how we booked this guest.
Our listeners will remember he's from the UK.
He's from the UK.
He's not exactly what we were looking for when we booked him.
We were wanting a UFO expert and
to talk about like the Pentagon's report that was being released, remember? From like a very governmental aspect. And when he came on, he basically was trying to tell us that the little green men are real.
He said they aren't little and green, but that they have really, really fascinating powers.
Yes.
And remember also what I said 2 minutes ago about communication is very important? Remember that?
Did we just spoil your thing?
No, I didn't communicate very well at the time. Anyhow, we reached out to him. Apparently, there's a website that deals with UFO sightings, and apparently somebody... Remember, UFO means...
unidentified flying object, but we changed the name, too, to UAF, unidentified aerial that's not an F. I don't know.
It's UAP, AF, all right.
It's UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon.
So there we go.
Sorry.
Reached out to him last night. Thought, well, let's get this Richard Lawrence on the show and, talk about this and, the latest in UFO sightings. And I love this response because we get this a lot. His response was, I'm out of country. Can we do it another time? And I always want to say, well, you're going to a country that doesn't have self-service?
But, Europeans, they go on holiday for a month at a time, and they literally don't work. They're not like us where we just work all the time. And so I suspect he's on a holiday where he's gone, and he's just like, I'm out.
And, Brandon, what do I always tell you when you say this about potential guests? When you go on vacation, you don't want to think about work. You don't want to do any work. So you can't fault this guy.
And I don't blame him. Yeah, something you just don't want to deal with it. We couldn't get him on the show, which is probably just as well. Reporter for CNBC. This is live on TV the other day.
Whoa.
So he's reading this report and just, whoa. You know what he probably did? He probably pulled a Rathert. He did not read the info prior to going on air.
It happens quite a bit around here.
He was looking at the very disappointing jobs report.
194.
Whoa.
I see 194,000. That is real low. Consensus of 500,000.
Job numbers coming out this past Feel Good Friday. Not quite what they expected. They need to either broaden their horizons or lower their expectations. expectations. Coming up, Fox News is here. Did you hear what happened at the southern border over the weekend? It's a frightening situation, getting more frightening. Any movement on the infrastructure deal? Fox will have more on that at 7 o'clock. Brian Hauswirth is here. We do have an update on this weekend's downtown shooting victims. He has those stories. And then Southwest Airlines. Man, what a mess this weekend. We'll get into news and analysis and opinion on that here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live.
It's time for the Moment of the Day on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Sorry for the cliche of nanny state here on 93.9 The Eagle. What we're about to tell you is a true story. You know, they really clamp down on people in Oregon. You do this, you do that. They're now saying, here's new guidance. You now have their permission to kiss on dates if you're both vaccinated. You have the permission from the state of Oregon. This is real stuff, man. 93.9 The Eagle at 6:58.
It's a pill to treat COVID. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Merck is asking the FDA for emergency use authorization for an antiviral drug to treat COVID patients, the first one that wouldn't need an IV or injection. Merck says in studies the pill was shown to cut hospitalizations and deaths in half among those with early symptoms. As Republicans keep pushing back on COVID vaccine mandates, many companies have put in place at President Biden's urging. Congressman Steve Scalise tells Fox News Sunday.
Well, and they also just laid off a large swath of people, and you're seeing in a number of states where they have the mandates, hospital workers, for example, getting fired, police officers leaving the job.
The president urged his fellow Democrats over the weekend to unify as they work out differences on a massive spending plan Republicans oppose.
But there is still a divide here, and there are even some liberals warning the longer this debate drags on when it comes to spending, the bigger the chance that nothing gets done.
Fox's Mark Meredith. Some moderates are pushing for a big cut in the $3.5 trillion price tag. What's it like to find out you just won a Nobel Prize?
I was just absolutely stunned then to get a telephone call, and then I was just absolutely thrilled to hear the news.
Guido Imbens, a professor at Stanford, is sharing the Nobel Economics Prize with two other economists here in the U.S. for their work on labor issues and causal relationships. It's another frustrating day for thousands of air travelers who want to get away on Southwest. Fox's Evan Brown has an update live.
Yeah, Dave, 1,900 Southwest Airlines flights were canceled this weekend. Stranding travelers are sending them to try to buy tickets on other carriers or rent cars to drive to their destinations. Earlier this morning, the FlightAware website was showing more than 300 Southwest flights had already been canceled for today. The airline was blaming the weather at first, but a number of industry experts say Southwest is simply understaffed and can't fly its scheduled flights, Dave.
America's listening to Fox News.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. That's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera by offering free shipping for a limited time. Visit simplysafe.com today.
Here's a fact. COVID hospitalizations of young people have tripled since the start of summer. Also a fact, vaccines are highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant. If you've got questions about COVID vaccines, talk to a doctor, because our kids are irreplaceable. We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03, 67 right now in Columbia. It's 66 degrees in Jefferson City. Our sunrise will take place at 7:13 this morning. May not see much because it's going to be very cloudy today. We're expecting heavy rain. Today's high 68. Tonight, cloudy. Gradual clearing after that, low near 51, and tomorrow sunny in a high of 77 degrees tomorrow. Our top story this hour, Centralia aldermen are scheduled to appoint an interim police chief at tonight's meeting in Centralia. 3 more officers recently resigned after the chief, Bob Bias, resigned. The board is also scheduled to vote tonight to execute an agreement with Cunningham, Vogel, and Roast as the special legal counsel for the town. Some Centralia residents say the city has not been transparent during the process. However, Mayor Chris Cox tells ABC 17 News any information about the city not doing the right thing is merely rumors. He says Centralia's top priority is protecting its citizens and the officers. That meeting is scheduled to begin this evening at around 5:30 p.m. A standing room only crowd is expected. 11 people, meantime, have to find another place to stay after a weekend fire in the capital city.
Jefferson City fire crews were called out at 1:30 Sunday morning to the 500 block of East Elm for the apartment fire. Several people have been evacuated. Crews were able to rescue one pet from the building. No one was hurt. They called the fire accidental, saying it started on the 3rd floor and caused moderate damage. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
John, thank you. Columbia Police need your help in solving Sunday morning shooting near 9th and Locust Streets in downtown Columbia. A 31-year-old man and a 33-year-old woman were both shot at about 12:20 on Sunday morning. ABC 17's Ben Fine was on scene when that shooting happened. He describes it as a very hectic scene. He heard 3 loud bangs. He saw people ducking behind vehicles in downtown Columbia, others running away. He found a victim lying behind him. Fine is reporting a Good Samaritan took a shirt off and applied pressure to that victim's wound. 15 CPD officers searching the area for shell casings around Booches. They were using flashlights, and no arrests have been made. There was a separate Sunday morning shots fired incident. It also happened in downtown Columbia. ABC 17 News reports about 10 shots were fired in that incident near Walnut and 5th Street. That one happened about 5 a.m. Sunday. Columbia Parks officials say a proposed November park sales tax extension ballot measure would generate $31 million over 10 years. Columbia Parks Director Mike Griggs has a message for residents who say the city has too many parks and too many trails.
Well, I say if Columbia quits growing, we'll stop growing.
Yeah.
When we passed it in 2000, it was 84,000 population.
Yeah.
We're at 124,000 right now.
Yeah.
And not only is the population growing, but the city limits is growing.
Griggs spoke this weekend, 93.9 The Eagles CEO Roundtable. If the measure is approved, park officials plan major renovation projects at Twin Lakes, Rainbow, number of other facilities. They also plan 2 new nature areas as well. You can listen to the full interview. Fred Perry, Director Griggs, 939theeagle.com. Columbia School Board is meeting to discuss the district's mask requirement at their meeting tonight. The board is scheduled to vote proposal tonight to extend CPS's coronavirus plan that includes a mask requirement. CPS also continues to reduce the number of trailers in the district. CPS had 173 trailers in 2007. They'll have less than 21 next year. The district crediting voters for approving 6 bond issues in the past 11 years. Tonight's meeting will start at 6:30. And most federal Missouri County offices closed today to observe Christopher Columbus Day. It is a federal, state, and county holiday. Emergency services such as prisons, the Missouri State Highway Patrol, county sheriff's offices are still open today. No regular mail delivery. Banks and financial institutions are closed. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live this morning by the Candy Factory. Candy Factory is in downtown Columbia. Anniversary, birthday, and any day, thecandyfactory.biz. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 7:07. In sports, Missouri Tigers beating North Texas Saturday, Faurot Field, Columbia. Hot day. Temperature was approaching 90 at the kickoff time, 48-35. Mizzou wins it over the Mean Green from Denton, Texas. Mizzou now on the year 3-3. Beatty, 209 yards on the ground, 2 scores. Mizzou and A&M Saturday morning, 11:01 at Faurot Field in Columbia. The Aggies coached by Jimbo Fisher. Buffalo Bills beating Kansas City Sunday night at Arrowhead, 38-20. That game delayed more than an hour. Lightning in the area. Chiefs giving up the ball, turning over the ball 4 times. KC's defense giving up 121 yards on the ground, 315 yards to the air. A lot of that Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback. 93.9 The Eagle Sports brought to you by Betts Jewelers. For gifts that last, stay a lifetime. Visit Betts in downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 7:08. Kevin, thanks. Our weather brought to you live by Club Car Wash. Visit clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 67 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
At 7:08, traffic check. MidmoHires.com. Local company is looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com. A reminder, it's a federal and state holiday. You won't see any road construction going on today or road work. It's going to be raining anyway most of the day. Most of that road work will resume tomorrow. Traffic will be impacted. Fewer cars on the roads with the holiday. Still give yourself some extra time with some of the heavy rain that we received overnight. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text. 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
And it was a really hectic scene out here. I heard 3 loud bangs that I immediately identified as gunshots, then looked around to see a bunch of people around here taking cover, some running away, others ducking behind cars to avoid the bullets that were being fired. It was then that I looked and saw the victim here laying behind me, and a Good Samaritan actually came over, immediately taking his shirt off and applying pressure to that victim's wound.
ABC 17 reporter Ben Fine, who was right near the scene early yesterday morning when 2 people were shot. And the update is apparently they're going to be okay.
They're going to be okay. They're in stable condition. They're going to be obviously not life-threatening, but Branden's still very troubling. And one of those victims was shot right behind where Ben had been standing just a little bit earlier. And as he said in that piece there, hectic, kind of chaotic, Lots of people down there, people ducking. But again, the good news, if there's any good news, non-life-threatening injuries, and the two victims in stable condition at a hospital.
Worth highlighting something we brought up, at least in my mind. I went down a couple of weeks ago when we had a couple of other shootings, and it's being labeled as downtown, and technically it is downtown, but I was at a city council meeting or something, walk where two of these shootings had happened, and it occurred to me, I guess technically it's downtown, but I think this is important. If you're in this area, and I don't know what you envision downtown, but for me, I think of downtown. I think of Broadway and a couple blocks north and south. Hannah's definition, kind of a downtown.
Yeah, I mean, like University Avenue.
Yeah. So in this area where the previous shootings had happened, doesn't mean it's so, but I wouldn't consider it downtown. It's kind of off the post office. You start to get into some houses there. It's not something that I would call downtown. I don't know if that's, to me, it's important to differentiate because, but I spoke to somebody in law enforcement, like, yeah, technically it's accurate. But I think it's worth noting, and I don't know if people are basing their decisions to go and spend money or not go and spend money locally in downtown on the weekend. I don't know if that's something that people take into consideration. But I think for the benefit of local businesses, because we need to support these folks, and I don't know if it's, in my mind, it's important to point that out where in downtown these have been happening.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from, Branden. Technically, the officer's right. Technically, and I certainly understand where you're coming from, but technically the officer's right. They are where those other incidents are. We're in the downtown area as the city defines it. The one thing to point out, and there's been about 4, if you include that definition of downtown, about 4 in the last couple of weeks, incidents. Obviously, the most serious one, the one this past weekend, just yesterday, 2 people shot. But almost all, in fact, all 4 of those happening late at night, past midnight. Sometime between, well, this one was 12:20. Most of them have been like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
And I think also worth pointing out that the shootings here over the weekend were what I would consider downtown.
Yeah, in my experience in law, like for example in law school, when I would frequent downtown, this would have been right in the area where I was kind of crisscrossing downtown to visit different establishments, especially on a homecoming weekend. And so, yeah, you take note, and it's a good reminder for everyone, even if you're in an area that you've been in a lot, to just be aware and have your faculties about you and try to keep an eye out on what's going on around you.
874-9390. Does this guide your, if you say, hey, we're going to go downtown, is anybody really saying, and I don't know, because I don't, at night, I just don't go downtown a whole lot. I go there oftentimes during the day, try to spend money locally. But I don't know, does this really shape somebody's thoughts? Oh, let's go. No, I don't want to go downtown. There have been a couple of shootings, 4, at least in recent memory. 874-9390, 874-9390. And it still amazes me that there's a mindset of people that want to defund the police. Now, we had a judge here in Missouri just last week in Kansas City say, hey, Mayor Lucas, you know what y'all tried to do there regarding reimagining how you spend $40+ million moving it away from the police department? You know what you did there? That's illegal. That's a win for people in law enforcement, I think. And so there's still this mindset. Like here, we see what's going on in downtown. I don't want to make a big thing out of it if it's not. But facts are, there's been 4 reports of shots fired, roughly 4 to 6 weeks. Then in Centralia, they have a big meeting there tonight. I'm interested to see what goes down here because we're not getting a lot. And the city is saying, and we've had several officers that are no longer with the police departments.
Yes. And Hannah obtained the updated agenda for the meeting tonight. There are a couple of things that are fairly new in there that I mentioned in my story. One is they're scheduled to appoint tonight an interim police chief. So that'll be brand new. They're scheduled to appoint that. The other thing is they are scheduled to authorize, or at least scheduled to vote. Well, I'm not going to predict what they're going to do, but scheduled to vote on a bill that would authorize the mayor there, Chris Cox, to execute an agreement with Cunningham, Vogel, and Roast, a special legal counsel for town. Stephanie, Thomas Roast, I believe, is who that is. I've heard Rost Roast. Do you know how that? I've heard both because I called his. I've always said Roast. I called his son's games, but that's a Jeff City law firm, and they're scheduled to execute an agreement on that. Now, there's nothing in there that I see that says public comment on the agenda, Branden, but the public is going to be there, and based on the coverage from KMIZ, our news partner, it sounds like it'll be close to standing room only.
Here's some of the statement. Based on recent allegations of impropriety within the city administration, the city is engaging the assistance of a third-party law firm to assist the city in evaluating these allegations appropriately. Any allegations of this nature are taken very seriously. And again, it's a lot, and we've alluded to this, a lot of chatter on Facebook, but nothing official. And I get it. To an extent, you have city leaders saying, hey, personnel issues, we can't always comment on this stuff. I don't live in Centralia, but I would say, yeah, but it's my police department, protect and serve. I would like to know what's going on, please.
Well, and it's not just going to be a short-term issue. We've heard from the Boone County Sheriff, we've heard from the Ashland Police Department how hard it is to recruit and staff up. And so, I mean, the number of police officers that they will have to essentially replace, is a lot. And the timeline, that's not an easy or a short process.
Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey allocating some of his resources to help out. So if it's something, that you're interested in, you live there, here's a chance for you to get involved. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell is back.
Good morning.
By the way, we want to thank you for joining us at the parade over the weekend. How fun was that?
It was so fun. I love parades, and just seeing all of the spirit and everyone, and people seemed legitimately excited to be out and about and celebrating homecoming. I was in a sorority when I was in college, and so you could tell they had a lot of spirit, and they worked really hard on their floats. So it was fun to see how intricate. They were all video game themed, which was kind of cool, the throwback. So.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of people down there. Good to see people out and about. Brian Hauswirth, highlight of your weekend?
Had the scoreboards all weekend for the Alabama A&M game on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and it was a heartbreaking loss. However, great football game, and enjoyed it. But it was a long day, but it was fun. Aggies are going to be tough for sure on Saturday.
Upsetting the top-ranked team since 1978.
I'm a little scared for Saturday.
Yeah. I wonder if Jimbo Fisher was going, let's go Branden. Or the head Nick Saban of Alabama.
Oh, boy.
Let's go Branden.
His interview at halftime on the network was very short. I'm sure he was not happy with his team in the locker room.
He's one of those people, and I hate to admit this, but there's some people, like, whenever they fail, you're glad about it. Is that wrong, Hannah?
You're asking if it's wrong. So the answer's probably yes.
That is Hannah, the producer. My name is Branden Rathert. Welcome into the show. 874-9390. 874-9390. Anybody get nailed by these? I love, speaking of statements. So we have this statement from the city of Centralia based on recent allegations of impropriety. The city is engaging the assistance of a third-party law firm. Meeting tonight, 6 o'clock. Southwest Airlines putting out a statement regarding all the cancellations this weekend.
Yeah, I think mostly they said it was due to weather and some other, staff. I don't know that they said staffing. They basically blamed it on the weather and I think air traffic control issues. And then the FAA came out and said, yeah, we're not having any air traffic controller issues. And the weather thing happened Friday. You canceled all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Yeah.
Dang, they got thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
They just couldn't go along with their little story. They just, no, you're lying.
But crazy story, I was flying back. My friend was trying to get back to Kansas City. We were flying back from Vegas. I flew into Columbia on American. Didn't have any problems, thank goodness. Got in about 11:30 before the parade on Saturday morning. But, if I can get from Vegas to Columbia, she was flying Southwest, was supposed to leave 4 on Friday. They pushed her flight till 10, so she sat in the airport basically all day Friday. At 10:30, they said, yep, nope, canceled. So then she had to go find a hotel. The next flight out 4 o'clock Saturday. And then to get to Kansas City, she had to connect through Denver from Las Vegas. That should be a direct flight. And so I think she got home midnight Saturday, more than 24 hours after she was supposed to get home. I would have been angry.
And that's BS, by the way. Well, we had air traffic control issues. Yeah, you didn't have enough people working them because I'll call it the blue flu. People just aren't showing up because of mandates. I could be wrong, but that's what it is.
I saw the statement on Twitter and I texted her. I said, "Did you see any weather?" She was like, "No, no weather."
The hot topic of the Chiefs game last night was peanut butter and jelly.
And probably some of the most well-known establishments in town. They clean out the grease traps, but really it's more than that. They help people. For example, whenever you have an issue with a septic tank, that's not a good time. That is a royal pain in the you-know-what. But here's where the folks at Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting help you. If you call Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting, they put you on a service schedule. So that way they're coming out every few months, making sure everything is A-OK. And that is huge when it comes to eliminating any problems, i.e. small disasters. And that's how they help people. And they kind of give you a little bit of peace of mind, too. Learn more about Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting on their website, pro-pumping.com.
Speak, Branden, speak. Good, Branden. Good, Branden. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Another 93.9 The Eagle Tiger Tailgate coming up this weekend. If you get onto our website, whole list of locations where you can go and get your free passes. Side and Stricker No-Beat Partners is just one of the places. Typically, like by lunchtime, Wednesdays, we have those out on the streets. Get more info on the website, 939theeagle.com. 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:27.
Time for What's Hot with Hank. You got used to saying 7:28, didn't you?
Well, maybe. I just get used to saying late.
Late. What do you have for us today?
So if you were watching the Kansas City Chiefs game last night, if you stuck through the rain delay, the weather delay, you heard that the sports announcers were having to talk about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because they had nothing else to talk about. Basically, the Buffalo Bills in the locker room were given PB&Js, and I guess we're complaining a little bit that the peanut butter to jelly ratio was off. They said that there was too much peanut butter. So it sparked a conversation of what is the correct ratio for peanut butter to jelly for the perfect PB&J.
And here's my reaction. It's got to be crunchy peanut butter.
Yes.
My opinion, plenty of jelly.
So, like, if you had to give it a percentage, what would you give it?
70-50.
And mine is 100% peanut butter because I hate jelly and refuse to eat it.
What?
So I love peanut butter sandwiches, but just straight peanut butter.
See, I would say probably like 70% peanut butter, 30% jelly. Because if you have too much jelly, it like squeezes out the sides and gets on your shirt. And it's not a good story.
Stephanie doesn't like jelly. We're learning more about Stephanie Bell of Ellinger and Associates. She doesn't like little warm puppies.
No puppies.
What else don't you like?
No ranch.
Nope.
Santa Claus.
Ranch dressing, Santa Claus.
Birds.
I don't like Santa. Oh, I don't like birds.
What was in the robot?
Spot.
Oh, yeah. It was in the parade. And it
Spot the
multiplied. It multiplied. There were 2 robots in the parade.
And that freaks you out?
Yeah. My husband said we should have modified the script to say, what's that? What's the net? What's that at the beginning of Terminator? It's called Skynet. And he was like, when they come down, you should be like, Skynet activated.
Like, what would you do if you saw that? Because it was kind of, it's
next time there are 3, I'm going to take cover.
It was cool. And it's still a little, you're just kind of like, So we want to thank you for joining us and coming by and saying hi at the parade. You can watch Wake Up Columbia. Go to YouTube. 93.9 The Eagle Live is what you want to search. And the cool thing about that, like you're getting ready for work, running around the house, you can pop YouTube up on your TV. And that way you can listen throughout the entire house, you know, everything that's going on. Did you hear what happened over the weekend at the southern border? Fox is working on this here at 7:30. Brian Hauswirth is here. What's on the ballot for that special election coming up in 22 days? He'll have that coming up for you at 7:35.
Stop by Club Car Wash and get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details at clubcarwash.com and find a location near you. It's 65 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The Biden administration's held its first direct talks with the Taliban since the militants' takeover of Afghanistan and the withdrawal of American troops there.
The State Department says weekend talks between US and Taliban officials were candid and professional. The two sides met in Qatar. The US says the discussions covered security, human rights, getting people out of Afghanistan, and providing aid to the Afghan people. US officials say the meeting was not about granting the Taliban legitimacy. The Taliban says the talks went well.
Fox's Simon Owen. There are reports of several tornadoes touching down in Oklahoma, with a high school, a gas station, and some homes torn up in the Tulsa suburb Coweta.
And that system continues to move eastward across eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the Ozarks and the Arklatex region of northeast Texas.
Roger Edwards with the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center. America's listening to Fox News.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 7:31. Robinson saves you time. 68 is our current temperature in Columbia. It's 66 degrees in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone. The Centralia Board of Aldermen are set to appoint an interim police chief at their meeting this evening. 3 more officers recently resigned after the chief, Bob Bias, resigned. That resignation effective yesterday. The board is also set to vote tonight on appointing a special legal counsel for the city. Mayor Chris Cox tells ABC 17 News. In the meantime, the city has contacted the Boone County Sheriff's Department to assist Centralia PD. Sheriff's deputies will be assisting the city. Tonight's meeting is scheduled to begin at 5:30 at City Hall. Detectives say that 2 people shot in downtown Columbia early Sunday morning are in stable condition this morning at a local hospital. Reporter Ben Fine from our partner ABC 17 News was on scene when the shooting happened at 12:20 Sunday morning.
I heard 3 loud bangs that I immediately identified as gunshots, then looked around to see a bunch of people around here taking cover, some running away, others ducking behind cars to avoid the bullets that were being fired. It was then that I looked and saw the victim here laying behind me at Booch's, and a good Samaritan actually came over, immediately taking his shirt off and applying pressure to that victim's wound.
That is ABC 17's Ben Fine. He saw a woman taken away on a stretcher and 15 officers using flashlights to search for shell casings in downtown Columbia. The suspect described as a man wearing all black clothing. That's all we know. That is according to the authorities. Anyone with information urged to call Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. Columbia voters will be heading to the polls next month. They'll be casting ballots on a proposal to extend the 1/8 cent park sales tax extension. The tax was first approved by Columbia voters back in November of 2000. Columbia Parks Director Mike Griggs tells 93.9 The Eagles CEO Roundtable that a developer wanted to drain the Stevens Lake in 2000 and then build apartments at that location, which is at Broadway and Old Highway 63.
Basically, it passed then, and it was a really close vote, in 2000. Yeah. And then we've renewed it in 2005, 10, and 15. With it growing, in 15, we had over 70%. Renewing it.
Park sales tax is the main funding source for Columbia Parks and Recreation's capital improvement projects. To listen to the full interview with Fred Perry and Mike Griggs, you can log on to our website, 939theeagle.com. CEO Roundtable. You can hear it every Saturday morning right here on 93.9. Columbia School Board set to vote tonight a measure to extend CPS's coronavirus plan. It includes a mask requirement. Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood will address the CPS board tonight. District requires students and staff to wear masks indoors and on buses. They cite high community transmission of the COVID Delta variant. Missouri's Attorney General Eric Schmidt has filed a lawsuit against CPS, saying Missouri law doesn't authorize the district and the board to impose a mask mandate. Tonight's meeting is at 6:30. And a reminder, today is Columbus Day. It's a federal, Missouri, and county holiday. It officially celebrates the anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas in 1492. Banks and financial institutions are closed today. No regular mail delivery. Most state and county offices closed today. The exception, emergency services like the Missouri Highway Patrol, county sheriff's offices as well. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates. They practice conscious sedation dentistry to relax your fears. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35. In sports, the Buffalo Bills beating Kansas City last night, Arrowhead Stadium 38-20. Game delayed well over an hour because of lightning in the area. The Chiefs turning the ball over 4 times in the game. Chiefs now 2-3, last place in the AFC West. Missouri beating North Texas Saturday, Faurot Field in Columbia, 48-35. The final there, 3-3 now. Mizzou on the year. Tyler Beatty, another big game, 209 yards of the ground, 2 scores. Missouri and Texas A&M on Saturday morning at Faurot Field. The 11:01 will kick it off. Aggies upset number 1 Alabama Saturday night, 41-38 at Kyle Field. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you by Willett Dental Associates. Our news time, 7:36.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, 736, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Things are quiet right now on the roads. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
You got to start telling people if you don't get vaccinated, you can't come into this office or this place of business.
We really need to make it clear that there are privileges associated with being an American, that if you wish to have these privileges, you need to get vaccinated.
Gosh, you need to. You must. That's frightening stuff. Really, everything that they're saying on CNN and MSNBC and these politicians, especially the hypocritical ones, specifically John Kerry, Nancy Pelosi, that all say, you have to wear a mask. Us?
No, we're not going to wear a mask.
And it continues to get worse. We're seeing, and it's interesting, we have some local school districts that aren't clamping down on this real hard.
Yeah, so, I mean, Ashland started, Southern Boone started with masks at the beginning of the year, or didn't start with masks, but started with a policy that if they got to a certain percentage, then they would go to masks. Of course, we hit that percentage pretty quickly, went to masks, had a small protest, and then a special meeting, and they just basically said, you know what, we're not doing masks. I think Jeff City has lifted their mask policy.
Correct.
But not so much for Columbia. Columbia Public Schools, I think they have a meeting tonight.
They do. They are, and despite the holiday, they are meeting tonight. So there are, a few governments that are operating, and their meeting tonight will be at 6 o'clock. It's a little complicated, Stephanie and Branden, but in a nutshell, what this is, and we've had a couple of listeners ask, what this is an extension of the COVID plan that is already in effect. It's an extension. You could make the argument it's directly related. I was in court a couple of weeks ago, 3-hour hearing down there at the courthouse. And Attorney General Eric Schmidt did lose on 2 points, but he won on one because the lawsuit's going to proceed. But basically, it appears to me that CPS is basically renewing the mask requirement because it's every 30 days under the state law, and it's kind of hard to explain. But that's basically what they're doing. There's nothing new in it. It's exactly what they've been doing, but it would be the indoor buildings and on buses. Now, buses is a federal law. They have to wear them on the buses. Federal requirements, to be specific. But it's an extension.
Well, and I think it would make the case for CPS worse in that they're re-upping it now. Because, when we first started school, we were, right kind of in the midst of Delta. But if you look at the numbers for Boone County and Cole, I mean, they have basically fallen off of a cliff, in the last several weeks. I mean, it's gotten, I don't know why, right? I think Delta's kind of run through its course, and other communities that saw it earlier than us saw a spike and then it came back down. But we're definitely on the downhill now from the Delta. So re-upping it now, it's even less backed by science, right?
And some of these people, when they're lying to us, they're at least being honest when they lie to us regarding...
Being honest when they're lying?
Yeah. They're like saying, hey, I used to have a boss years ago. His name was Bill Dybel. And he would preface a lot of his stories with, no, I'm going to be very honest with you. And you knew when he said, I'm going to be very honest with you, you knew
that he was lying through his teeth,
that he was getting ready to tell a lie. MU Faculty Council meeting last week. One of the members talking about, I guess on Mizzou campus, they're talking about making masks mandatory in all the buildings. I thought it was already a thing. I don't know where they're doing it and where they're not.
I can't think of any buildings where it's not required.
So they're talking about making it mandatory in all buildings. This is from the faculty meeting last week. Towards the end, basically saying mask, whatever.
If we're not going to require masks, at the very least, and this is a lot of work on our staff now, at the very least, then we ought to go back to the 6 feet of social distancing. Not that would make a huge difference, but right now, we have people crammed into, for example, Naka Hall. We have people crammed, 30 students into a tiny little room. And I'm not sure, you're right, if cloth masks are doing a whole lot of good, but whatever good they're...
I don't know if they do any good, but whatever. They're telling you, We're lying. We don't think they work, but we're going to do this stuff anyway.
And they're telling you that they're not even paying attention because she mentioned the 6 feet. That was debunked a long time ago, that the 6 feet was just completely arbitrary, and actually 3 feet is probably the right amount. So masks and 6 feet.
Rashida Tlaib, one of the squad, prepping for some event, some important dude showing up, and as he gets out of the car, everybody in Rashida Tlaib's squad, they're all wearing masks. It's not the best audio, but you'll hear this guy when he comes up, he notices, whoa, everybody's wearing masks. And you know how uncomfortable that is. Like when you're the one that didn't get the memo on something, you're like, oh man, how embarrassing. So he shows up and he's asking Rashida Tlaib, do I need to put on a mask? Her answer, it's hard to hear, but basically you'll get the gist. She's saying, this is just for show.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh, wait, he's the one unmasked guy. Because I got a Republican cracker. Oh, gotcha. Well, thank you for...
She's saying, I'm just wearing it because there's a Republican here filming it.
Yeah.
They're just lying, and they're being honest about their lies. Welcome to the show. Wake Up Columbia. That is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you. 874-9390. 874-9390. Coming up before 8 o'clock, Car Santa is going to be joining us with our Cars for Heroes program, trying to award some transportation to a hero. And we're not giving away brand new cars or anything. It's just somebody we help with vehicles that are donated through the website, Cars4Heroes.org. And you can go there, people, they donate vehicles. But we're just trying to help somebody out that's, they've had a rough time, a rough go of it through no fault of their own, and they just need transportation.
Well, and I think the coolest thing is most of the veterans that we have talked to then use that vehicle to help other veterans. That's been one of the coolest things I've heard is that, hey, I've got some friends that also need some help, and this vehicle will let me in turn help someone else.
And I like that. That's the first thing they do is they turn around and say, okay, who can I help next? Who can I help? Tomorrow on the show, Ken Jenkins, I love this guy. He's like an aviation expert. He's here talking about cancel culture has struck Southwest Airlines.
It's really bad. They canceled, I think, thousands of flights this weekend. And officially, I think they're blaming weather and like air traffic control issues. Although now the FAA said we weren't really having air traffic control issues, Southwest. And, I got home on American just fine. My friend trying to come home on Southwest, not so much.
And Southwest is publicly saying, this was, or maybe it's the head of the union for the employees of Southwest saying, no, this was not part of any planned effort. But we're seeing it industry-wide. We're seeing it locally. We're seeing it in law enforcement. We're seeing it probably in the airlines. We're seeing it in the healthcare industry because of these mandates, because you are being told you have to do this. People are going, let's go, Branden, and they're saying, no, thank you.
Right, they are. And there's lots of speculation about maybe like some sort of issues with pilots or with air traffic controllers. And the speculation is it has to do with the mandates. Now, of course, Southwest, I think, is denying all of that. So I think we're going to hear more in the coming days.
It's kind of accurate to say we had issues with air traffic control.
If no one showed up for work?
If nobody showed up for work, I think it's kind of accurate. So he's going to be here tomorrow along with Christopher Arps from ChristopherArps.com. 874-9390. 874-9390. Coming up just a few minutes from now, details on where you can get your passes for the Tiger Tailgate, the free 93.9.
Opinions expressed by Branden Rathert are not necessarily those of Zimmer Radio and Marketing Group, its management, or its advertisers. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
The president's son would be selling artwork and then meeting potentially with people who would seek to buy it. If you have attendees at that event who might be seeking either jobs in this administration or favors from this administration, isn't it an awkward situation to put the president in?
Again, the gallerist has spoken to, we've spoken to the specific.
Psaki v. whoever that reporter is, the people had been concerned about this Hunter Biden, the son of Joe, selling art. Sold some this weekend.
Like NFTs, though, right? I think. Yeah.
Sold them for a lot of money. And the concern from this reporter, and by the way, there was follow-up from other reporters saying, yeah, now wait a minute. If you have, so here's the deal with this story in particular. Eric Garcetti, Los Angeles mayor, he's being nominated for ambassador to India. And he shows up at an auction, or was going to be at an auction, where some of Joe Biden's kid, Hunter, was going to be selling art. That's a problem. And you can tell by Psaki's spin there. I'll circle back, talk to the people who put the show together. Thought that was interesting. Do want to let you know, rain, we could see some thunderstorms today, too. Our high is going to be about where we are right now. It is 66 degrees. By the way, coming up a little bit after 8 o'clock, we have kind of a surprise for Stephanie.
Uh-oh.
I'm excited.
Am I getting written up for being gone last week?
No. It's just something kind of cool that we thought that we would do for you. And I've had to work, like I've had to lie to not lie, but I had to not tell the truth to my dear Hannah.
You were lying by omission.
I kind of was.
Okay.
But I feel like I had to, because you know why? And I told Hannah to her face. I said, I didn't tell you because you're not a good liar, Hannah. And that's a compliment.
Except she was when we had to, lie by omission to you.
Exactly.
This is just payback for the times we've surprised you.
93.9 The Eagle presents Military Monday with Car Santa. Cars4Heroes. Cars4Heroes.org. Car Santa is, if I'm omitting something, if I am failing to tell Hannah something in an effort to try to pull off a cool thing for Stephanie, is that lying?
Sure it is.
Okay, just checking. I trust your opinion.
Well, not all lying's bad, but...
By the way, good time to be watching YouTube. You can watch Wake Up Columbia on YouTube, 93 point. You got to put in that period, 93.9. The Eagle Live. And the cool thing with that is you can put YouTube up on your smart TV. So when you're running around the house getting ready for work or school in the morning and the husband's making you lunch to go and get the kids ready, you can still have YouTube up on the TV. And you can hear all the latest news, the analysis of what's happening right here in town, whether it be that meeting tonight, Centralia City Council, talking about what's going on with the police department there, whether it's that, things like that. We've got you covered. Now you can watch on YouTube. Car Santa, Chiefs are bumming me out, man.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing, but, I look at it this way. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. I'm not disappointed in them overall, but, yeah, it's and the season's not over. They're not done, but, yeah, it was kind of hard to watch that one last night.
It's one of those things where you get spoiled by success. If you're number one for a long time, if you're the very best at what you do and people recognize that, and then all of a sudden it's not going your way, that can be tough. And sometimes in life, people encounter situations where not everything goes their way, and a lot of time it's through no fault of their own. That's one of the reasons we do Cars4Heroes. You can nominate somebody you consider a hero, somebody to get some transportation, just somebody, for whatever reason, they just need some help. Who are we trying to help out this morning, Car Santa?
Well, I had a young lady by the name of Hannah who submitted her friend Angel. And Angel is a veteran that served from 2008 to 2018 in the Army. Has a couple of tours in Korea. And this is pretty simple. What she wrote said that a vehicle would change their life because they do not have a vehicle, yet have full-time job, doctor's appointments, a child in school and activities, and it would help with the stress and anxiety. It would help them feel independent and worthy, and it would help their daughter see that good things happen to those that work hard for things throughout their lives. They would be able to make it to their doctor's appointments at the VA without having to rely on other people and having to reschedule appointments or go without prescription medications due to ride cancellations. Sometimes it's very simple, but let me tell you something. Between now and Christmas, we're going to give over 30 vehicles away in the Midwest. And I'm working with Galen to do something special. If you know of somebody that can help us in the Columbia area. By the way, this story I just read is from your listening audience. If you know somebody that can help for Veterans Day, we're going to do 13 cars in Kansas City. I talked to Galen about doing a couple cars in Columbia for Veterans Day, and we're doing one in Manhattan, Kansas on Veterans Day. But we'd really like to get more applications of people in need, and I would love to see some more first responders, EMTs, anybody along that line, because we're going to go all out going into the year 2022 and try to help somebody every week up there. And with your help, we can do it. And we appreciate your listening audience, Branden. They've been super up to this point. And let's kick it off with Veterans Day and do something really big. If you want to be a part of our giveaway up there, let us know. And we'd love to have you down to help us present the keys to another hero in the Columbia area.
Veterans Day 2017. We're at the big kind of the grand opening for Welcome Home, and it was cold. There was me and Car Santa and some other folks from the community gathered as we did our very first awarding of transportation to a hero. We do call it Cars for Heroes. So it's anybody that you consider a hero, but somebody who just needs some help with transportation. Cars for, the number 4, carsforheroes.org. Car Santa, God bless you for what you do, sir.
Thanks, Branden, and thank you.
All right, we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Coming up, Fox News is here. We're going to find out, is there any movement on this infrastructure deal at all? You know, the one's got a little bit of infrastructure stuff in it. A U.S. nuclear engineer is arrested. We're going to find out why. Fox has those stories coming up at 8 o'clock. Brian Hauswirth is here at 8:03. Update on the victims of that weekend shooting downtown. And then 8:10, kind of a surprise for Stephanie Bell. By the way, something probably want to watch if you can. Get onto YouTube, search 93.9 The Eagle Live. You nervous?
A little.
It's a pill to pop, not a drug to inject. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A new treatment for COVID that Merck this morning asked the FDA to authorize for emergency use. The drug maker says the pill was shown in studies to cut hospitalizations and deaths in half in patients showing early symptoms. This as the FDA also considers more vaccine approval, from booster shots to doses for younger kids. And speaking of children, what about Halloween this year?
I think that particularly if you're vaccinated, but you can get out there. You're outdoors for the most part.
Biden COVID advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci tells CNN State of the Union the unvaccinated should take more precautions. The U.S. and Taliban held their first talks over the weekend since the chaotic troop withdrawal and evacuations from Afghanistan. The State Department calls them cordial and professional. Republican Congressman Peter Meyer tells Fox Business,
"We are desperately concerned that al-Qaeda could continue to reconstitute, that other groups could find safe haven."
Now, when it comes to Southwest Airlines, another frustrating day to fly. The airline canceled nearly 350 flights after grounding almost 2,000 over the weekend.
Blaming bad weather and air traffic control problems. Hundreds of other flights have been delayed, too. As a result, many travelers are stuck at airports with no place to go right now.
Fox's Jillian Mealy, other airlines not canceling anywhere nearly as many flights as Southwest. They handed out the final Nobel Prize for the year this morning. Fox's Simon Owen as who won and why live.
Dave, it's a Nobel Prize in economics tied to the labor market, and it's shared between three economists based in the U.S. David Card with the University of California at Berkeley for his work on immigration and minimum wages, plus Joshua Angrist at MIT and Guido Imbens from Stanford.
I was just absolutely stunned then to get a telephone call.
Imbens said he's thrilled, particularly to share the prize with two friends. Angrist was best man at his wedding. Dave?
America's listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's the sound of a man guarding his home around the clock. Because he has 24/7 professional monitoring from Simply Safe Home Security. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe keeps watch night and day. If there's trouble, Simply Safe alerts them and will dispatch emergency help when needed. Protect your home and your sleep. Take 30% off a new system at simplysafe.com today.
Here's a fact. COVID hospitalizations of young people have tripled since the start of summer. Also a fact. Vaccines are highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant. If you've got questions about COVID vaccines, talk to a doctor, because our kids are irreplaceable. We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 8:03 is our time, 67 right now. In Columbia, mostly cloudy skies. We're expecting rain today. At times, it could be heavy. Thunderstorms are likely. Not seeing anything right now that would indicate any severe weather heading our way. Our high 68. Certainly have the umbrella. Tonight, it'll start to clear, a low near 51. And the outlook for tomorrow, sunny. There's going to be a big ceremony in Rocheport with the I-70 Rocheport Bridge. Governor coming to town tomorrow. Weather should be perfect, sunny, and a high of 77 degrees. Good morning. Centralia aldermen are set to vote tonight to appoint an interim police chief at tonight's meeting. 3 more officers recently resigned after the chief, Bob Bias, resigned. The board is also scheduled to vote tonight to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with a law firm based in Jefferson City as a special legal counsel for the town, Cunningham, Vogel, and Roast. Some Centralia residents say the city has not been transparent during the process. However, Mayor Chris Cox disagrees. He tells ABC 17 News, our news partner, that any information about the city not doing the right thing is merely rumors. He says the top priority for Centralia, protecting its citizens and officers. That meeting tonight, 5:30 at City Hall. Meantime, Columbia police need your help in solving Sunday morning shooting near 9th and Locust Streets. A man and a woman were both shot at about 12:20 Sunday morning as numerous people were in the area. One of those was ABC 17's Ben Fine. He was on scene when the shooting happened. One of the people shot was right behind Ben Fine. He describes it as a very hectic scene. He heard 3 loud bangs, saw people ducking behind vehicles in downtown Columbia, a number of others running away. Fine reports one of the victims was lying right behind him outside a restaurant. Fine reports a Good Samaritan took his shirt off, applied pressure to that victim's wound. He saw 15 CPD officers searching the area for shell casings using flashlights. No arrests have been made. There was then a separate Sunday morning shots fired incident in downtown Columbia several hours later. That one about 5 o'clock in the morning. ABC 17's Ben Fine, again on scene at the location, said about 10 shots were fired near Walnut and 5th Street. Again, that was a separate incident. No arrests in that incident either. Columbia Parks officials say a proposed November park sales tax extension ballot measure would generate $31 million over 10 years. Columbia Parks Director Mike Griggs has a message for residents who say Columbia has too many parks.
Well, I say if Columbia quits growing, we'll stop growing.
Yeah.
I mean, when we passed it in 2000, it was 84,000 population.
Yeah.
We're at 124,000 right now.
Yeah.
And not only is the population growing, but the city limits is growing.
Griggs spoke this weekend on 93.9 The Eagles CEO Roundtable. You can hear that full interview with Fred Perry on our website, which is 939theeagle.com. If the measure is approved, parks officials plan a number of renovations and improvements, some of those Rainbow, Twin Lakes, just to name a few. Boone County's presiding commissioner praises organizers of last week's statewide transportation conference in Columbia. More than 150 city and county officials from across the state traveled to Columbia, and they heard presentations on topics including work zone safety. Boone County presiding commissioner Dan Atwell delivering the opening address.
This is a very good opportunity for people that work in these different counties to get together and see how they have faced the different challenges that actually are common to all counties.
Missouri Association of County Transportation Officials met at the Holiday Inn Select. CPS continues to reduce the number of trailers in the district. CPS had 173 trailers in 2007. We'll have less than 21 next year. CPS is crediting voters for approving 6 bond issues in the past 11 years. They say the Columbia community understands the importance of maintaining a high-quality educational program. And most federal, Missouri, and county offices are closed today to observe Christopher Columbus Day. It's a federal, state, county holiday. Emergency services still open, including the Highway Patrol. Banks, financial institutions closed. There will be no regular mail delivery. Regular mail delivery will resume tomorrow morning. 93.9 The Eagle News, presented by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. Our news time, 8:07. In sports, we had extra time last night with Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth because of the lightning delay. Long highlight segment for more than an hour. Buffalo Bills beating Kansas City last night at Arrowhead 38-20. Lightning in the area, but they were able to get the game in. The Chiefs turning the ball over 4 times. KC's defense giving up 315 yards to the air. Chiefs 2-3. Mizzou beats North Texas Saturday 48-35. Faurot Field, Columbia 3-3 right now. Mizzou on the year. They'll take on Texas A&M. The Aggies out of College Station, Texas. They'll be bringing up a band as well. That's one of the top bands in the entire nation. Aggies upset #1 Alabama Saturday night 41-38. 93.9 The Eagle Sports brought to you by Woods Basement Systems. Call 800-388-9326 for a free estimate. Woods Basement Systems. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:08. Kevin, thank you. And the weather brought to you by Club Car Wash. Visit clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 68.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
It's 808. MidmoHires.com presents our traffic check. Local companies looking for local people. Not seeing or hearing anything On the roads, things are quiet. Again, it is a federal and state holiday, so a lot of folks have the day off today. And again, the emergency services are in effect today. Also, CPS will have their board meeting tonight. Centralia, of course, board meeting as well. But you'll certainly notice fewer cars on the road today. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, the 93.9 The Eagle.
One thing that I think President Biden has been pitch perfect on that all of us need to amplify is this is, first and foremost about helping Americans get through this awful pandemic and helping their families cope and survive economically. But it is also key to the pro-democracy agenda that we have, and that is we have to show that our democracy can deliver.
In this package of bills, they have over $100 billion in Solyndra-style slush funds to give out money to their friends while crushing the jobs of those hardworking families in South Louisiana, union workers who are going to be building the Keystone Pipeline all throughout Middle America.
I wish we could have just decoupled them, but I'm confident we're going to get both of these things done, and that once we do, they're going to be extremely beneficial to the country.
I think there is a very good chance that the tax and spending bill will collapse. One, because the American public is starting to see what's in it, and two, moderate Democrats really do understand they're on their own.
I think a lot of us, we know what's in the infrastructure package. As a matter of fact, there's a little bit of infrastructure.
Just a tiny bit.
Just a skosh. That's one of the things they are working on this week. We'll have more opinion on this coming up because we know Joe Biden's been going around the country selling snake oil in effect, and now they've, what's the cliche, doubled down on their line. 2 weeks ago it was, this doesn't cost a thing. Last week it was, this is actually a tax cut. Blows me away. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Columbia. There's Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning.
There's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Branden. Rathert, Stephanie Bell joining us here, too. By the way, I want to thank everybody for joining us this weekend homecoming parade. It was really cool. Folks taking time out of the day to come up and say hello. A lot of great floats. A couple of highlights in your mind?
Yeah, just seeing all the people in the crowd. I mean, there wasn't a parade last year, so people were really pumped to be there. And then also, I liked seeing the floats, people working hard. Been to some parades lately and was not impressed, but the sororities and fraternities really, with their video game floats, really worked hard. And
Spot the Robot. That was cool. But I don't know how to explain it. It's like cool.
Oh my
freaky.
gosh, are you kidding? It's so scary.
Watch on YouTube right now.
Oh my goodness, it's Spot the Robot. Yeah, like I'm ready for it to stand up. Does it stand up?
So we got a little surprise for Stephanie.
Oh my gosh.
If you're watching on YouTube, you may or may not be able to see it. But Stephanie is freaked out by this thing. You may have seen it. Was it a week and a half ago at the...
It is freaky. It's looking at me. It's looking at me.
The Mizzou game. It was in the parade over this weekend, and the folks from Mizzou have been kind enough.
That is awesome. I do have a question because there were two at the parade. Is it Spot 1 and Spot 2?
I can answer that question.
So let's go ahead and do this. I want to bring in our guests.
That is
Christopherson
awesome.
Calmer, who is assistant professor, professional practice, electrical engineering and computer science department. Welcome into the show, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks
Pretty
for having
good.
us here.
Glad you could be here. We're trying best we can to show Spot on camera. So
Do you want us to move him up somewhere?
Yeah, can you set him on the console up here? Just pick him up.
He's
and,
oh my gosh, you can hear like the floor vibrating when his feet hit that. Has he ever stepped on anyone's foot?
He stepped on my foot once.
Really?
So Spot the robot, explain kind of 2-minute elevator pitch. What is Spot the robot?
Okay, so Spot the robot is a quadruped robot, which just means it walks on 4 legs, and it's produced by the company Boston Dynamics. And so what Spot is, you could think of Spot as essentially a mobile computing platform, and at least that's how we use it.
Okay.
But Spot is being used in industry predominantly now for automating things like routine inspections, security checks, and whatnot. And so we acquired Spot because essentially what he is takes us down the road of autonomous systems. So if you think of self-driving cars, you've heard of Amazon thinking about drone deliveries. A computing system that can essentially operate on its own, making its own decisions. And so for us and our lab, we're with the Autonomous Systems Lab in the IT program in the College of Engineering at the University of Missouri. We want to provide our students with hands-on experiential learning with cutting-edge technology, and that's what Spot represents for us. And so our undergrads are working with Spot, developing applications.
Christopherson Colmer, assistant professor, professional practice, electrical engineering and computer sciences department at Mizzou, has brought in Spot the robot. And Stephanie Bessel, Stephanie didn't know this was happening.
I had no idea. My son is going to be blown away. He's going to be so excited.
Because she's, and I kind of have the same reaction too. Part of me, it's like, that's awesome. And then at the same time, I'm like, real hesitant about it. What is the reaction that you typically get from people when they get up close and personal with Spot?
So it's one of two things. It's either end of the spectrum. So either people are really impressed and amazed by it and they want to know more about it, or their reaction is kind of like Stephanie's, where they're kind of freaked out by it. Oh my God, I watched Terminator and I'm afraid of these robots.
Yeah, Skynet, right? That's what we were talking about earlier. It's really incredible. So there are two, though. And so my son was at the football game where he danced, but there are two of these in the parade, and so they're multiplying, right? So you called one Spot.
They are not multiplying.
Yeah. So are there only two? Are there more? Are you planning to get like a whole army of Spots? And then do they have different names? Like,
So Spot is the production name of the robot.
Okay.
Spot is the production name of the robot, and we actually are in possession of 4 of them. I say in possession. Oh my God. Because this one we own.
Okay.
And so the 3 other ones we have possession of are actually the property of Amarin. I mentioned earlier when I was talking, our students are using these robots to develop custom applications, and so we formed a partnership with Amarin earlier this year, where our undergraduate students are going to be working with their engineers, developing custom solutions using Spot in their nuclear reactor in Callaway County.
Wow, that is so neat.
So we're hanging out with some of the folks from Mizzou. Christopherson is here, as is Mason Jenkins. He's an undergraduate student and researcher. So I think the unease for a lot of people, it's, oh my God, robots are getting ready to take over the world.
Yeah, and so I was interested. So Mason, you were kind of doing the controls, and it looks like a Nintendo Switch, honestly. I was kind of hoping when we saw the dance at Mizzou, I was really hoping you were back there with all of the things on, and you were the one actually, shaking your tail, making the robot go, but you're actually controlling it with your hands, right?
Yeah, so basically what it is it's a Xbox controller with a screen on it. So if you've ever played like a video game on an Xbox controller, you can pretty much pick this thing up pretty easily. But for that halftime routine, for those 3 songs, for the first and the third one, it was being manually controlled using this controller. And then for that second song where you saw it like get up on its 2 legs and clap and do the Running Man and all that, that was a pre-programmed choreography sequence. So that all was, I guess, like basically live streaming commands from a computer to the robot to perform that at certain intervals.
Like Britney Spears, but more high tech.
I guess so, yeah.
Just love it, yeah.
Are you able to walk it right over to that Eagle 93.9, the banner? Can it get that precise? The reason I get it, it's a radio show, but we're on YouTube Live, and
if you could scoot over,
if we could. Let me ask you, Christopherson, how much does this thing weigh, Spot the robot?
So without the battery, it weighs about 65 to 70 pounds, and then the battery adds another about 9 pounds to it.
So what are some of the real-world applications? I mean, it's great to see in a parade. It's great to see in a halftime show. But what are some of the actual benefits? How is this going to benefit somebody listening this morning as you hear it stomping around the studio?
So if I mentioned earlier, we formed a partnership with Amarin. Is it on screen now?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, go ahead and move your... Oh, wow.
Okay.
So what are some of the benefits?
So like I mentioned, you can use Spot to automate things like routine inspection. So if you think of an industrial type setting where there's a lot of machinery with different gauges and different things that you need to monitor at regular intervals, without a robot, you would have to have someone make rounds every hour, every couple hours to actually perform that task. With Spot, we can program Spot to walk a particular path in an environment and take these readings. So take images, stream video of whatever the gauges and the machinery are, and then send that data to somewhere to be processed. Or we develop custom applications to process that data using things like machine learning and computer vision.
Nice.
And so what Spot does is what Spot does is you can send Spot into places that are sometimes maybe too dangerous for humans, or where a human's time is better spent doing something else. So instead of you having to make the rounds every hour to do something, your time can be better spent doing things that are more creative.
It's kind of like a smartphone. It just has a name and legs, in effect. All right, Mason Jenkins and Christopherson Calmer with the Mizzou Electrical Engineering and Computer Science Department. I think can you guys hang out for just a few more minutes?
Yeah.
All right. You can go to YouTube, 93.9, The Eagle Live. You can see some of this video of Spot the Robot. Want to talk about applications as it relates to law enforcement. Can you guys stick around for that? We'll get in more on that coming up at 8:25-ish here on 93.9 The Eagle. And
Entertaining for the masses, not kissing politicians. It's Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
How cool is this? Hopefully you can get onto YouTube, 93.9 The Eagle Live. Cool thing about watching Wake Up Columbia on YouTube, you can put it up on your smart TV every morning as you're running around the house, getting busy. You can hear the news. You get opinion on things that are happening locally. And this morning, we've kind of surprised Stephanie with pretty cool guests.
Yeah, we have Spot, the robot, the OG, right? He's
OG.
the original one, so he goes by OG in studio. And I think now that I see him in person, I'm feeling less freaked out.
Thank you.
actually.
Can you let
Yeah.
Can you let your robot hesitant people know?
yeah. No, I like. He seems nice.
Okay.
So our guests in the studio from Mizzou, Christopherson, Calmer, Mason, Jenkins, they're working with this. And I know specifically here, OG, also known as Spot the Robot, not doing anything as it relates to law enforcement. But are there what would be the law enforcement dynamics to technology like this?
I think in places, I heard, in places like, I think maybe San Francisco or somewhere, they're using Spot the Robot to, like if they're homeless people on the street, going up to a homeless person and checking to see if they're okay, as opposed to getting close with a human. Like I said, in places that maybe a human's time is better used, or maybe if there's a safety issue, instead of sending a human in first. Like you've seen those movies or videos where the cops send in something with a video camera. And so Spot has actually 5 cameras on it, 2 in the front, 1 on each side, and 1 in the back. And so any place where you need an extra set of eyes or multiple sets of eyes, you can send Spot the Robot in ahead. To survey an area.
I'm thinking Tom Cruise's The Minority Report with the little things that scurry in. What's something that would surprise us about? Because I see it and I see you can wiggle the rear end. By the way, Stephanie has a great suggestion when it comes to identifying what's the rear end and what's.
Well, my son was asking me, or he was trying to tell me about the football program before I had seen it on Twitter, and he said, well, I think he was kind of shaking his butt, but it could have been his head, because I'm not really sure which end is the front and the back. It's easier to see now. His face kind of, or the front lights up.
The end with the 2 eyes.
But you should put a big face on him. From the football field, it was hard to tell, I guess.
There is a camera that we have that mounts on top of it that makes it a bit easier to tell which part is the front and which part is the back.
Okay.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9 TheEagle.com. So anything else that we would want to know about this, Mason?
I think what a lot of people see is that Black Mirror episode, and they get freaked out, and then they always see these other things on social media that freak them out. These robots are incredible technology, but if you don't have people behind them that know what they're doing and know how to create applications, you have nothing to be afraid of, because they are stupid pieces of plastic and metal when you think about it.
And we don't have anything to be afraid of, right? Because you haven't taught it how to do talk radio, so it's not going to take over our jobs, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, good.
Dude, not even funny. Man, I know it's a chore to bring this in here. I do want to let you know, coming up by 11 o'clock, we put up a podcast every day, Wake Up Columbia, and you'll be able to go back and hear it, and you can share it on your social medias. Our new friends Mason and Christopherson with Mizzou, the Electrical Engineering and Computer Science Department. Thank you so much for coming in. I think you have some other people in the building that want to chat with you.
All right.
So
thanks for having us here.
Hey, man, thanks. How cool is that?
That is awesome.
Isn't that weird? And as we wrap this up, before we get into Fox News, see if there's any movement on this infrastructure package in D.C. Brian Hauswirth is here. What's on the ballot for this special election coming up in 22 days? It's interesting. I think I don't want to get all preachy and stuff, but you mentioned we're sometimes afraid of things.
Yeah.
And then we see it or get to know it. It's kind of that contempt prior to investigation. We check it out and, not so bad. Thank you, guys. We appreciate what you do.
All right.
93.9 The Eagle and 93.9 TheEagle.com. I have your ABC 17 storm track forecast. So kind of what we see right now is what we're getting for a better part of the day. Rainfall today, potentially heavy at times. Might even see a thunderstorm or two. Our high, we're not budging much temperature-wise. Our high today, 68. Some clouds overnight, low 51. Tomorrow, sunshine, 77. Then Wednesday, showers, 78. Checking in at 66. If you stop by Club Car Wash, you can get an unlimited membership. Unlimited membership. They're only $20 a month. You can get more details. ClubCarWash.com. ClubCarWash.com.
Fox News. I'm Chris Foster. The first pill meant to treat COVID-19 infections is submitted for approval by the Food and Drug Administration.
Merck says molnupiravir can prevent severe illness needing hospitalization. It could be an alternative to monoclonal antibody treatments, which require either multiple injections or IV infusion. The U.S. government is already committed to buying enough pills to treat 1.7 million Americans at less than half the price of antibody treatments.
Fox's Evan Brown. The Boston Marathon's underway, canceled last year and postponed this year from the usual run in April because of the coronavirus pandemic.
COVID protocols forcing the field to downsize by 40%. Every runner will be required to either be vaccinated or take a COVID-19 test at the medical tent prior to entering any race facilities. Some 200,000 spectators are expected to attend the Boston Marathon today.
Fox's Matt Napolitano. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31:69 right now in Columbia at 67 degrees. In Jefferson City, we're expecting a high today up into the upper 70s. Things really changing after that front moved in, and we did have the storms. Looks like we still got clouds out right now. We're not seeing any rain, but there is a good chance of rain throughout the day. Be prepared for that, and things will certainly seem cooler tonight as well as tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. The Centralia Board of Aldermen are set to appoint an interim police chief at tonight's meeting. 3 more officers resigned recently after the chief, Bob Bias, resigned effective yesterday. The board is also set to vote tonight on appointing a special legal counsel for the city. Mayor Chris Cox telling our news partner, ABC 17 News, that in the meantime, the city has contacted the Boone County Sheriff's Department. They will assist Centralia Police. Tonight's meeting expected to be at 5:30 at City Hall. We have a link to the agenda. You can read the agenda for yourself. I've linked to it on our website, 939theeagle.com. Meantime, in the capital city, 11 people have to find another place to stay after a weekend fire in Jefferson City.
Jefferson City fire crews were called out at 1:30 Sunday morning to the 500 block of East Elm for the apartment fire. Several people have been evacuated. Crews were able to rescue one pet from the building. No one was hurt. They called the fire accidental, saying it started on the 3rd floor and caused moderate damage. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
Here in Columbia, the school board is set to vote this evening on a proposal to extend CPS's coronavirus plan. That includes a mask requirement. CPS Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood will address the board coming up tonight. They'll meet tonight at 6:30. CPS currently requires students and staff to wear masks indoors and on buses, citing high community transmission of the COVID Delta variant. Missouri's Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against CPS. He says the Missouri law does not authorize them to impose a mask mandate. The district disagrees with that, and that issue is currently tied up in the courts. Detectives say 2 people shot in downtown Columbia early Sunday morning are in stable condition this morning at a local hospital. Reporter Ben Fine from our partner ABC 17 News was on scene when the shooting happened 12:20 Sunday morning.
I heard 3 loud bangs that I immediately identified as gunshots, then looked around to see a bunch of people around here taking cover, some running away, others ducking behind cars to avoid the bullets that were being fired. It was then that I looked and saw the victim here laying behind me at Booch's, and a good Samaritan actually came over, immediately taking his shirt off and applying pressure to that victim's wound.
That is, again, ABC 17's Ben Fine on the scene outside of Booch's. Anyone with information is urged to call Crime Stoppers, 573-875-TIPS. Detectives also investigating a separate second shots fired incident. That one happened early Sunday morning downtown Columbia as well. Those shots fired near Walnut and 5th Street. 10 shots fired in that incident. No injuries are reported. And a reminder, today is Columbus Day. It's a federal Missouri and county holiday, officially celebrating the anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas in 1492. Banks and financial institutions closed today. There is no regular mail delivery. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:35. In sports, Missouri beating North Texas Saturday at Faurot Field in Columbia, 48-35. The final there. Mizzou now 3-3 on the year. Tyler Beatty, 2 touchdowns, 209 yards on the ground. Eli Drinkwitz and Mizzou welcoming Texas A&M, the Fighting Aggies, making the trip from College Station, Texas. Officially, they call it Bryan College Station now. That'll be Saturday morning. Faurot Field, Columbia, 11:01. As for the Aggies, they beat number 1 Alabama Saturday night, 41-38. NFL action, a lot of weather activity around Arrowhead Stadium last night. Lightning, the main issue. They can play in just about anything in the National Football League, but not lightning. Buffalo Bills beating the Chiefs 38-20 last night. That game delayed more than an hour. Seemed like much longer than that. Chiefs turning the ball over 4 times in the game. Chiefs now 2-3 on the year. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:36. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Midmohires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Not seeing anything right now or hearing anything to report in terms of our traffic situation. However, if you're out and about, you see something, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. We always appreciate the great information that you provide daily to us. And again, a reminder, today is a holiday, so traffic is going to be much lighter than normal because of it's not just a federal holiday, state, county as well. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
What Facebook has done is disgraceful, and you better believe Congress will be taking action. My question is, I have 2,000 friends on Facebook. Is that good? Is it good? Like, is that a lot? 2,000 sounds like a lot. How many does Drake have, 4,000?
I think he has like 50 million.
Oh, my God. No wonder he never answered my poke.
SNL, stereotyping appropriately old white people that don't get Facebook. I are one of those people sometimes. By the way, we have posted, again, Hannah, the producer, stirring up the pot, creating controversy this morning with a post on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. Brian, have you heard this yet?
I have not.
Man.
We're talking about what is the perfect ratio of peanut butter to jelly for your PB&J.
See, that's what happens when you leave to go handle news and traffic and weather for folks here in Mid-Missouri. That's what we talk about. Is there an overwhelming consensus on this yet, Hannah?
A lot of people are saying 50-50, and a lot of people are saying 70-30. Which is about what I would probably vote for, is 70-30.
And I'm saying 100% zero because I hate jelly, so I only do peanut butter.
I'm with you on that.
What the heck?
Team only peanut butter.
Yeah.
I will say some people are pointing out, and I think if you don't know this hack, it is true, that if you make PB&J and you don't want it to be soggy, you do a thin layer of peanut butter on both slices of bread and then the jelly in the middle, and that keeps your bread from getting soggy.
Oftentimes, like with hamburgers, cheese, same thing with cheese. If you put cheese in the bottom and top, it'll keep the grease from going through.
I have a PB&J sitting on my desk for lunch.
That sounds so good.
And I love for a while, I don't know if they still do this, I think it was Smucker's, but they came out with, for people like me that are too lazy to mix the stuff,
gross. Ugh.
the peanut butter and jelly pre-mixed.
Goober grape.
And they called it Goober. My goodness, can't you come up with a better name than calling a food product Goober? Wow.
I'm also a big fan of the Uncrustables. So they sell, like, they're in the freezer section at the grocery store, and it's like a crustless PB&J that's like self-contained in a little pocket.
I never even knew about these before COVID, like in the pandemic, and then I had just given up in trying to feed my kids lunch. And they're so small. They're like the size of a hockey puck. Plus, they have to like thaw for 12 hours. You can't microwave them, or they turn, it's like a hot pocket. They turn into like molten lava.
12 hours. That's a little dramatic, Stephanie.
I think that's what they said. And if you microwave them, they're just like a pocket of, lava.
But they're super good in the air fryer.
Oh, I haven't tried that.
It gets a little crispy on the outside and gooey on the inside.
Hot tips from Hannah this morning.
I don't need a whole lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I like them. Somebody turned me on to grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Yeah. Try it.
One of my favorite breakfasts is like toast with peanut butter and jelly on it.
Well, just peanut butter, but yeah. Same.
I'm 70-50. 70% jelly, 50% crunchy.
And 100% bad at math.
Yes.
Welcome into the show. That's what people are talking about on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. The other big thing people are talking about, whether you live in Centralia or not, an important meeting tonight by the city council. And I don't know what's going to happen there because we've heard a lot on Facebook. And we hear people talking, saying this, and that. As a matter of fact, I guess city leaders addressing that with a press release this morning.
Yeah, I've not seen a release, but I do know that I've looked at the agenda, and the two things that stick out to me, Branden, are number one, they are going to vote tonight, or set to vote tonight, to appoint the interim police chief. So Bob Bias's resignation took effect technically yesterday. Today is a holiday, so as of right now, there is no chief. They're set to appoint the chief tonight at 5:30. And then the other thing is a special legal counsel would be appointed out of Jefferson City, and that is the I believe it's Cunningham, I'm going off of memory, Cunningham, Vogel, and Roast is the law firm there. So that's on there. Now, they don't have on the, I've linked to the agenda 93 on the eagle.com. I don't see anything for public comment, but I know that we've heard from it, and you've had a couple people, Brandon, on the show that said they're going to testify. So there must be something that I'm not sure how it would work, but I'm sure the people will get to speak. It's supposed to be a big crowd.
And folks getting involved, taking part. Quick off the text, 874-9390. Dale reminds us, we're talking about peanut butter and jelly. That's what's hot with Hannah today on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. Percentage, the ratio of peanut butter to jelly, and people have an opinion on this. And I like the bad marketing idea. I think it was Smucker's, and they might still have it, but it's the jars of jelly and peanut butter pre-mixed, in case you're too lazy to. But they called it Goober. Bad marketing move. Dale reminds us there are chocolate-covered peanuts from Nestle, also called Goobers.
I do like the squeezable jelly. That makes cleanup a little bit easier. But
It's so hard to wrestle jelly out of a jar with a butter knife.
Yeah.
Nothing makes me more angry than trying to get jelly out of a jar and just keep sliding off your butter knife before you can get the dang thing out of the jar to your bread.
874-9390. It's for real. It's what people are talking about.
Well, and they're talking about it because during the extended halftime of the Kansas City Chiefs game last night, that is what the broadcasters were forced to talk about, because the Buffalo Bills were dissatisfied with the PB&Js that they were given in the locker room at halftime.
Well, and I love it. Do you think, because they can't talk about politics probably, so they just have a list of things that are off the table, and
sounds familiar.
So they have a list of things. So they're like, you know what? We're going to talk about peanut butter and jelly because it's safe, and then ignited a controversy apparently.
Can you imagine that conversation? Who is it? Tony Romo and Jim Nantz? No, this was Sunday Night Football on NBC last night.
It was Al Michaels. Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, and they were on. It just seemed like forever, and they kept going to the studio. And Tirico he must have done 5 different highlight updates, just one after the other.
Well, and I'm sure they got scolded because who was it that was commenting on people's girlfriends during the one game?
Oh boy,
that was in college football a couple years ago.
So they're like, okay, no politics, no talking about people's girlfriends.
Who was that guy from? Who was that?
Well, it was Brent Musburger, and
Okay.
what he was saying is that was in him. He said that. He was talking about, I believe it was A.J. McCarron's girlfriend. It was in 2013, and he said basically she's a beautiful woman. But boy, now she didn't get upset. She didn't get upset,
Right.
but boy, some of the fans did. But and then he made a comment about throw the football in the backyard, and he was talking about kids growing up. He was talking about Alabama football, but it was Brent. I want to say 2013. It was either A.J. McCarron or Greg McElroy, but I believe it was McCarron.
And he's done it. He did it more than once. And I remember one time it was A.J. McCarron. I think it was during a bowl game.
Now, when you're a quarterback at Alabama, you see that lovely lady there. She does go to Auburn, I want to admit that. But she also, Miss Alabama, and that's A.J. McCarron's girlfriend, okay? And right there on the right is Dee Dee Bonner. That's A.J.'s mom. Wow, I'm telling you, quarterbacks, you get all the good-looking women. What a beautiful woman.
Wow, A.J.'s doing some things right.
Is that offensive? Somebody says you're attractive? Is the way he did it
On national television, yeah, it's cringy.
It was long, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was an Iowa fan who's like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness. Maybe it was like, whoa, right? The jobs numbers, whoa.
So check this out. CNBC the other day, Feel Good Friday, they're getting the job numbers as we're getting the job numbers. And this guy broke one of Handa's fundamental rules when it comes to, for example, us reading text or Facebook messages here on the show.
You should always read it in your head before you try to read it out loud for the first time on air.
And I want to follow that rule.
No, you don't.
I try to follow that rule.
No, you don't. Don't even. Okay, don't lie to me. Don't lie to yourself.
For example, this from Dusty, 874-9390.
Okay, whoa. You say, for example. Does that mean that you have not read this?
Correct.
Great.
Hannah, in my experience with PB&J, I used a spoon for the jelly.
That's a good idea.
It's a hack. Ralph, Goober Burger.
I've heard that before. Is it just a burger with peanut butter, right?
I think so.
Peanut butter on a hamburger.
Gross.
There's like a sub-argument on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page that has now started.
Okay.
And it's, in what order do you put the peanut butter and jelly on the bread? Like, do you do the peanut butter first? Do you do the jelly first?
News, analysis, opinion. 93.9 The Eagle. And Wake Up.
Food.
And food. That's what people are talking about. 874-9390. 874-9390. So this happened on CNBC the other day.
Whoa.
Live TV, and Steve Leisman is getting the jobs report. He broke the cardinal rule. Hey, don't proofread before you go on air. The whole segment, what happened on live TV, we'll do that coming up at 8:51. A lot of different things. And if you think you're needing somebody to talk to when it comes to mental health issues, there's a lot of things to consider. As a matter of fact, one of the things Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau does really just about any kind of business or service. It's kind of, I don't want to say guidelines, but just suggestions on, hey, if you're thinking about daycare, here's some things you ought to consider. If you're thinking about talking to a counselor or somebody like that, here are some things you might want to consider. And that's kind of the epitome of what the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau does. They help guide consumers just by offering free tips. You can find free tips for all kinds of goods and services on the website, bbb.org.
moving forward. Wake up Columbia. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Whoa. CNBC Live TV this past Feel Good Friday. Somebody breaking that cardinal rule, not proofreading stuff before they go to air with it. That was Steve Leisman, CNBC, trying to, and he couldn't. He was trying to smooth up the poor jobs report that came out, and he had nothing to go to. Unlike the guys on NBC on Sunday Night Football last night, last minute, grasping at straws, they came up with something.
Yeah, they apparently heard that the Buffalo Bills were complaining from the locker room at halftime that the peanut butter and jellies they were given had too much peanut butter. So that sparked a conversation of what is the perfect ratio of peanut butter to jelly for your PB&J.
You're 50-50?
No, I would say like 70-30, 60-40, somewhere in there.
With less jelly, right?
Yeah, more peanut butter than jelly.
I'm 0 jelly.
No jelly and I'm like 70-50, just a whole bunch of...
okay, what is your actual answer?
It's got to have more peanut butter.
Yeah.
The peanut butter is like... the bread is to peanut butter like a pancake is to the syrup. You don't care about the pancake. Remember, great comedian Jim Gaffigan would say that the pancake is just a vehicle for the syrup.
Like chips and salsa, you're just eating salsa. I mean, you'd eat it with a spoon if it was socially acceptable.
Well, and that's what I was just getting ready to say. I don't do bread anymore, so I just eat peanut butter off the spoon. Straight out of the jar.
You don't do bread?
Nope.
What?
Just don't.
I've eaten peanut butter with a spoon. So here's what happened live TV.
194.
Whoa.
I see 194,000. That is real low.
Whoa, live TV.
That's worse than I expected.
Couldn't cover that one up. And if you get a chance, you can go back and watch Wake Up Columbia on YouTube. You want to search 93 point. You got to put in that period, 93.9 The Eagle Live. And this is really cool now that it's on YouTube because there's a benefit. There's a reason we're doing this.
Yeah, so YouTube is compatible with smart TVs and any of your smart devices. So you can put us up on your TV screen while you're getting ready in the morning, and the whole family can enjoy Wake Up Columbia.
So you can see the moment we surprised Stephanie Bell. She's freaked out by Spot the Robot, which is the original version of this robot that we saw dancing at the prior weekend's football game at halftime. Saw it in the parade this weekend.
We saw 2 of them in the parade this weekend. They're multiplying, and we found out there's actually 4.
Did Stephanie tell you what I was doing after you told her that you had a surprise?
No.
I was texting her.
Asking me if I was freaked out.
I was like, are you nervous? She's like, no, not really. I was like, you probably should be. She goes, oh, no.
So it was kind of a surprise for Stephanie. It's something here in town, in mid-Missouri. I think ESPN had stuff on it. So it's something that's garnered some national headlines. So wanted to surprise Stephanie. So she didn't know that this Spot, the robot, was coming in. And we've captured that moment on video. The robot, not so much.
We'll have some pictures of it going up later.
Short.
He's a little short.
But I think, I do think it's really interesting for Mizzou, and they have made national headlines. Apparently, it was the first Boston Dynamics robot to perform in a halftime show. And so if you're trying to recruit students on the cutting edge of, computer science and engineering, students have got to be looking at Mizzou and thinking, well, that's really cool. I want to, work on stuff like that. And they said, they're building applications along with that. So fascinating stuff, and I would think that their numbers for applications for those schools have been increasing.
It's fascinating. It's just one of those things. It's cool.
It's a little freaky.
Little freaky.
I still don't see the freakiness.
I don't know. It just I can't explain it.
As his foot hit the ground, you kind of felt the force of a little vibration in the floor. It was a heavy.
That happens when, people walk across the floor, though, too.
Exactly.
I want to highlight this from Tad. We were talking about food. Somebody else mentions peanut butter on hot dogs.
Oh.
Tad, great callback, Tad. All this food talk on Hot Dog 93.9 The Eagle.
And you probably need to pack your bags and go home.
He wants to be Lieutenant Governor. It's Mike Parson. Thank you so much for joining us on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle this morning.
No, I enjoyed it. Now, where'd you come up with a hot dog name? That sounds like a sports deal there or something.
That was Mike Parson.
Mr. G57, as he calls himself.
Mr. G57, and that was several years ago. That's when he was running to be lieutenant governor, and we had him on the show, and I don't know, he speaks so well. I've got kind of a lazy mouth, and I kept saying that at the time we were Hot Talk 93.9, the Eagle. And afterwards, he's like, hot dog, how did you get that name? And then one of the epic lines of all time from Brad Trinago, who said something to the effect of, "We relish your time here on the show." It was awesome. I'm getting excited. Gary Nolan's show is coming up next. Tomorrow, we're going to be joined by aviation airline expert Ken Jennings. What's really happening? Like, we saw this mess with Southwest Airlines over the week. We'll try to get the real story with him tomorrow on 93.9 The Eagles. See ya.
Bye.